a written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Order, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, in starting the meeting today, I have someone with an opening statement. General Manager Eck.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you're here. If you're wondering why we have all the tables set up, we wanted to be preset for bingo. So we can always stop and play bingo a little bit if you want. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Jan Eck, and I am the retiring General Manager of RCSC after 15 years. However, I am not just addressing you as the outgoing GM. I am also addressing you as a Sun City homeowner and RCSC member for the past 16 years. It is very important that we treat each other with regard, if for no other reason, as a fellow human being, and despite our frustrations, it is imperative that we communicate in a manner that can be heard and does not display conduct that is unbecoming. As a reminder, here are some essential guidelines required of RCSC cardholders as part of Board Policy Number 10's Code of Conduct. We must not jeopardize or interfere with the rights and privileges of others. We must refrain from loud, profane, indecent, and abusive language. We must not harass or abuse, verbally or physically, any other person. We must not compromise the safety of others, and we must not reprimand or discipline any RCSC employee or interfere in the management of RCSC. Throughout our entire history, there have always been those who have disagreed with the board. Serving on the board of directors is not an easy task. It requires considerable time and tough, thick skin, as there is always someone or several someones who are unhappy about something and have no problem publicly judging and criticizing members of the board despite the fact they are generally misinformed. This tough, thick skin may appear that they don't care, but my 42 years in community management has shown me these board members care a great deal, probably more than most of us, as they are willing to provide so much time and energy to serve their community. These board members on this stage behind me are no exception. They have served you to the very best of their ability and have done what they believed was best for RCSC and the majority of Sun City homeowners, and continue to do so despite the threats and inaccurate accusations made against them. That is no easy feat, and I know that personally to be true, as I have been and continue to experience the same. However, I have been paid to do so, and they are not. They are volunteers. I fell in love with Sun City when I was 16 years old, visiting my great aunt and uncle. In my opinion, this is the greatest active adult community in the world. RCSC's mission is to provide the broadest range of recreational and social facilities possible to enhance the active lifestyle and well-being of Sun City residents. I believe RCSC has fulfilled its mission within its financial means, and it has been financially managed well enough to continue to do so. We have the most amenities for the least annual property assessment of all other Sun cities. In the middle of your dissatisfaction about what is or is not happening, let's remember to show our gratitude for this amazing community. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome to our board meeting today. I'm Sue Wilson, President of the 2021 Board of Directors. During this meeting, we request everyone please turn off their cell phones or put them in vibrate mode. Effective January 2017, we started taping our board meetings, and by entering this room and or participating in the meeting, you are hereby granting permission to the RCSC to record and use on video and audio tape your image, likeness, and voice. You are also waiving any claims you may have against the RCSC for using your image, likeness, and voice in connection with the video and audio taping of this meeting and broadcast and or publication of such meeting for any purpose of the RCSC. In accordance with our corporate documents, a board meeting is generally held the second Monday and the last Thursday of each month, with the exception of July and August when there are no board meetings. Before I begin the business at hand, I'd like to introduce you to your board of directors and our management personnel. To my right, Treasurer Sheila Rooney. Good morning. Director Darla Akins.
Good morning.
Director Jean Westmeyer.
Good morning.
Director Rich Hofer.
Morning.
And to my left, Vice President Mike Egge.
Good morning.
Secretary Dale Lair.
Good morning.
Director Steve Collins.
Good morning, everyone.
Director Dan Schroeder.
Good morning.
And Marcia Johnson, our Corporate Executive Coordinator.
Good morning.
In our management, Bill Cook, our General Manager.
Good morning, everybody.
Jan Eck, our retiring General Manager. Kevin McCurdy, our Director of Finance. Brian Duthu, our Director of Golf and Grounds. Jolynn Higgins, Communication and RCSC Marketing Coordinator. And Teresa Serino, who is up in the booth, who is our Director of Events and Entertainment. I'd also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans and Mike Crawford, our audiovisual engineers, and Jim Moore and Teresa, who are doing the video of this particular meeting. They're upstairs. Okay. Secretary Lair, do we have a board quorum?
Madam President, yes, we have a quorum.
Okay. I'm first asking for an approval of the agenda.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to approve the agenda as written.
Okay, motion by Director Akins. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Secretary Lair. Any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those that approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of the minutes of the June 24th, 2021 meeting.
Madam President, I so move.
Secretary Lair made the motion.
I so move. Second.
Seconded by Treasurer Rooney. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of minutes from the September 13th, 2021 meeting. Vice President Egge makes the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Director Schroeder. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. I need an approval to approve the minutes of the September 20th special session.
I so move.
All right. Motion by Director Akins, seconded by Secretary Lair. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Please signify by saying aye if you approve.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of our treasurer's report.
Madam President?
Yes.
I move to approve.
Okay, motion by Secretary Lear. I need a second by Director Collins. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of the management report. Secretary Laird makes the motion. Vice President Eggy seconds. Any discussion on the management report? Yes, Director Laird.
Yes, Madam President. I do have a question about the management report, not so much what's in it, but what's not in it. And the question I had was, in January, we had moved to approve the collection of utilization data for chartered clubs, and to date, we haven't received anything. I was wondering what the plan was to roll that out for the board, because that's important information that we need.
Secretary Lair and Madam President, Board. So Chris Herring, our Director of Operations, is not here today, but I will certainly look for that information and follow up with you this week with that information.
Okay. I think that it would be nice if we could start receiving that, like the activities reports and other reports, so that on a monthly basis, we kind of have an idea of where things are going.
Right. So,
Okay. And I know that this is, again, it's a COVID kind of a year, but it's better than it was, but it's a start.
right. So Chris and I actually have had a discussion on this, and I know it's the wheels are in motion, so it's not as if nothing has been done so far. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I need a vote to approve. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we have a committee recommendation. Director Hofer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to amend Board Policy 17, titled Golf, section titled under General Golf Rules and Regulations, Item 4, in which we are removing from the board policy the phrase, "for a trial period ending October 31st, 2021.
Okay, I need a
Madam
second.
President,
Are you seconding?
seconding?
Seconded by Secretary Lair. Discussion.
Madam President?
Yes.
Thank you. I have discussed this with our Director of Golf and Grounds. It has been before the Golf Advisory Committee, and I have also talked to several of the superintendents of golf courses who have all indicated that there was no additional wear and tear on the golf courses, and that they are all in support of removing this and making it a permanent addition that you can use 5 golf carts on a regulation golf course and 4 golf carts on an executive golf course. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we are going for a roll call vote. Director Westmeyer,
Yes.
Director Akins,
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
Yes.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That motion passes. Thank you. Marcia, has anyone signed up to speak regarding any motions on the agenda today?
Madam President, the first person signed up is Christy Svensson.
Okay, at this time, as your name is read, when you approach the microphone, we ask that you state your name and your member number. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage.
What?
It is a second reading, yes.
Second reading.
The first motion is a second reading, but this is on all motions.
Oops.
I'm sorry, I lost track. Are we talking about the, which one are we talking about? This one right here.
We're talking about motions.
Club member.
Okay.
And guest.
Give me your name and number.
My name, Christy Svensson, number 137489. And I am honored to be the first one to speak to all of you this morning, but I'm going to start off on kind of a bad note. Why all the rules? I don't get it. And I don't know why we've got all this tracking going on, because honestly, we are all honest people, and we have visitors come once in a while, and so what? We have guests here. But this accounting to me is senseless, and it's time wasting, and I wonder what you guys are so afraid of. Why do we have this?
I will let, if you would like an answer, it still goes on the 3 minutes.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Okay. I put this in place, following some, let me go back. The Long Range Planning Committee is looking at utilization of spaces versus the capacity. And we ran into a little bit of a problem with pickleball, which we know is very popular. It's got a very positive trend line, but yet the capacity didn't seem right. That, and also with billiards at Lakeview. Those were the two areas that didn't jive. So in speaking with people from pickleball and speaking with the people from billiards, what we found is that when you have a club that's in a space where there's a facility attendant, but they were signing in, there was the changing of the rules, and at one point they were signing in with the facility attendant, then they were signing in on a piece of paper. We were losing count of the numbers. So to make things as accurate as possible, that's why this motion is here. Now, why are we doing that? It's the nerdy side of me, I will tell you right now. I take my responsibility up here very seriously, and I'm responsible for how money is spent. And I want to know, are we spending our money wisely? I want to anticipate when we need to expand and when we need to contract on certain things, so that when a new club comes on, we have space and we have resources to move ahead with whatever the future holds. That's why we're doing it. It's not that I'm suspicious of anybody. It's just to get a good feel for where things are, and so that we can make good recommendations. That's it.
So you're a bureaucrat then?
Well,
I get it now. I get it. I understand.
I wouldn't say that.
Time.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Ellingson.
Okay.
Lori Ellingson, member number 133335, Madam President and directors of the board. Specifically, I think it is important to collect data. My question, and especially to Director Lair, is our data valid, and is it accurate, and is it specific? I have a master's degree. One of the requirements in getting my master's degree was to take a statistics class. In that class, we had to realize the difference between the validity of the stats and the data that we're collecting. I play tennis, I play pickleball, I golf. If I play golf, it takes me 4.5 hours. If you're going to track how many people, how many rounds of golf, there's only a specific number of players that can play in a matter of from sunset to sunrise. Pickleball, on the other hand, you can have over at Mountain View 7 courts, 4 people on a court, 28 players playing for a matter of 5 minutes, with another 25 to 30 players waiting to get on a court. So right behind pickleball are 2 tennis courts. You can get 4 players on a court, so in a matter of an hour, you can only have 8 people playing tennis. Are you going to compare, oh, we don't need those tennis courts because only 8 people have played in a matter of 3.5 hours? Yes.
Madam President?
Yes, you have 50 seconds, yeah.
Okay. First of all, every activity that's analyzed is analyzed based on the specifics of that particular activity. Pickleball, for instance, we know that an average pickleball player plays on the courts for 2 hours. So when we're looking at capacity, whatever that is, we're dividing it by 2 because we want to account for that. We also looked at the same for tennis. The maximum number of players that you can have on a tennis court at any one time are 4 members. So that's those are the numbers that we used. And in speaking of doing statistical analysis, I'm well aware, I also have a master's degree in business administration, and I've taken a lot of business classes. And to speak to that, you have to have data and you have to have longevity of that data in order to do any kind of correlation analysis or analysis of variation, which we do not have, which is why the motion is present here. But it's a start. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
have to talk as fast as I can.
Thank you.
Madam President, no one else has signed up to speak.
Okay. Going for our second reading and motion 1 by Secretary Lair.
I move to amend Board Policy Resolution Number 12, titled Chartered Club, Section 7, titled Club Member and Guest Attendance as follows. Club member and guest attendance. Each RCSC chartered club with dedicated space must track daily club member and guest attendance and provide such data to the club's office on a monthly basis. Clubs without dedicated space that use monitor areas must have club members and guests check in with the facility attendant. RCSC will maintain club usage data separately from non-club usage data. In addition, clubs without dedicated space that use non-monitored space, i.e. social halls, must turn in club attendance data to the club office monthly. Club member attendance data must be provided in the format requested by the club's office. This information must be submitted to the club's office no later than 10 days after the close of the month. All club attendance shall be distributed to the RCSC Board of Directors on a quarterly basis.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Ege. Any discussion?
Madam President.
Yes, Director Akins.
Yeah, I think we have to keep in mind that there is no procedure that's foolproof. Everything has their flaws in it, but we have to start somewhere, and we are growing in such a big capacity that we need to make sure that we don't run out of space for clubs that want to get a charter. And we have limited space. We have over 130 some clubs. Everybody wanting space, everybody wanting time at the facility. We're trying to, this is a starting point, and we're trying to now keep track, because if we say a club should be dechartered or say a club shouldn't have a space, and they say, well, why? We have all this usage, we have all these people playing, we have all these people doing things. We don't really have anything to back that up. So we're trying to get some numbers and stuff to try to back that up. Whether it's accurate numbers or not, all we can do is start somewhere. And we're starting with some kind of accuracy, some kind of numbers, because you have to start somewhere. And as we go along, we'll hopefully can tweak it and maybe make it better and better as we go along.
Yes. Secretary Lair.
Madam President, Board of Directors, I thoroughly agree with Darla. I've always prided myself since my time on the board that we will make decisions based on facts and data and not personal bias or opinion. So, having an opportunity to collect the data so that we can make educated decisions is in everybody's best interest. I would like to throw a question out to the rest of the board, though. All club attendance data shall be distributed to the RCSC Board of Directors on a quarterly basis. Should we change that to a monthly basis? What thoughts? Do I need to amend the motion?
You would have to amend the motion to do that.
Madam President?
Madam President, Secretary Lair, I believe this was discussed at the original first motion, and I believe the consensus was is that monthly may be a little more challenging, given the headcount that we have to support that. So I believe we made the decision to go quarterly at that meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Westmeyer.
Thank you. I don't know how to say this, but I've been on a long-range planning committee and a number of committees for a long time, probably too much. But I just want to say that I don't think we're taking this data to eliminate clubs. I hope not.
No.
Because we really need to find out what the clubs need. And I'm all for taking care of the current members and associates here in Sun City, and we'll worry about the incoming people later, because the incoming people are going to be older sooner or later, and they're going to run and turn around and say, why did we do this or that? I think we really ought to maintain what we have and upgrade what we have, and then look at, down the road, what we need for new people to come in. I just, I feel very passionate that we have a very good base to work on. And I know Secretary Lair gets mad at me in the long-range planning committee because I say the same thing over and over. But I think we need to really take care of our current people. And we have no problem selling our house. In fact, don't put your house up for sale because you're going to probably sell it tomorrow. So I don't think that's an issue that we have to have. So I just want to be sure that people understand this data, and I'm all for gathering the data, is not going to be used to eliminate clubs. Because I, for one, will stand down in the well, scream in high heaven. That's not what we're here for. We're here to maintain the clubs.
Any other discussion?
Absolutely. Yes, Madam President.
Director Akins?
Yeah, the one thing that I was trying to say, we're trying to eliminate clubs. Some clubs may be moved to another space because it's more accommodating for them and makes a bigger space for somebody else. So we are never going to try to eliminate clubs. Clubs make the choice on their own to be decharted. We don't make that decision.
And yes, Secretary Lair.
Madam President, directors, the Long-Range Planning Committee's charter is very specific. Our job is to really be looking down the road at the future and how we're going to get there and what the needs and the wants are. So, you know, in all due respect to Mr. Director Westermeyer, you know, the Long-Range Planning Committee, if you read our policies and procedure manual, is very specific in what our goal and our task is. You know, and it is not to eliminate clubs. That is not what we're trying to do.
Yes, Director Westermeyer.
I understand, Dale, what you're saying, but I think the audience and our participation need to understand what we just said. It's not to eliminate clubs, because if you read this, everybody can get a misunderstanding of what's going on. And we need to be very focused on what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's all I'm saying.
And I'd like to comment that we have a fiduciary responsibility to the corporation. We have to make decisions about space allocation. And part of the problem is we were going from membership numbers. There are several clubs that have large membership numbers, but they have very few that come into the clubs. So using the membership numbers along with utilization data gives us more concrete information in order to make a reasonable decision. That is what our fiduciary responsibility is. Any other discussion? Okay, I'm moving for a vote. Director Akins?
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney?
Yes.
Vice President Eggy?
Yes.
Secretary Lair?
Absolutely.
Director Collins?
Yes.
Director Schroeder?
Yes.
Director Hofer?
Yes.
Director Westermeyer?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes second reading. Okay, we have a consent agenda item. First is a request to approve the decharter of the Lakeview Evening Bridge Club at the request of the club. And the second is a request to approve the decharter of the Oakmont Mixed Cards Club at the request of the club. I need a motion to approve those.
I also move.
Okay, moved by Director Akins. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Eggy. Any discussion on these? Yes.
I didn't hear,
Director.
who requested the second?
Mike, second.
Mike,
No,
second.
No, who requested the decommissioning of the second?
The
club?
Oakmont Mixed Cards Club at their request.
Their own request,
Yes,
okay.
at
That was
their
my only
request.
question, I didn't hear you.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
I can't. I like to say it.
Okay, Treasurer, I'm taking a vote. Treasurer Rooney,
Yes.
Vice President Eggy,
Yes.
Secretary Lair,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Schroeder,
Yes.
Director Hofer,
Yes.
Director Westermeyer,
Yes.
Director Akins.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. Okay, Marcia, has anyone signed up to speak on agenda items? And once again, when Marcia calls your name, you will have 3 minutes. Please, when you come up, state your name and your member number.
Tom Maroney. It's just anybody who talked on agenda items. Right? We don't need to do one.
That's right.
Right.
Tom Marone, 100825. This is about the Roberts Rules one. Your biggest enemy isn't Roberts Rules, it's the fact that none of you truly understand them. So instead of trying to understand them, which is the right thing to do, you want to simply eliminate them. And who among you makes the decision which and when Roberts Rules shall apply and which ones only may apply? And will those decisions change with every new situation? How about giving us the same option regarding which bylaws and board policies we may or may not decide to comply with? If you don't like particular Roberts Rules, you can make your own bylaw rule to supersede it. That's the beauty of Roberts Rules. It's the only foundation at which all other bylaws are born from. You've done a great job creating bylaws that pretty much shuts down any opportunity for the general membership to oppose any of your decisions. And now, if you ever wanted to reject the notion that we, the board, make all the rules, so just shut up and pay your annual assessment fees, you've done a really good job. Without Robert's Rules as your foundational guiding authority, you will simply become lawless, and how will future boards function with no clear guiding principles? The only thing worse than actually considering this motion would be if you actually passed it. Thank you.
Sherry Martino.
Hello, my name is Sherry Marcio, member number 144465. Madam President, board members, and staff, I am not in favor of changing Robert Rules of Order language from shall to may. There must be standard, agreed-upon protocol to run all meetings. I voted for many of you and honestly would like to issue a serious vote of no confidence because of the way your actions and decisions are showing up. I'm feeling a lack of transparency. I'm feeling an us against them mentality. I am feeling like as a board and some of you as individuals are running with your own personal agendas. I am not alone in these feelings. And now you seek less accountability. We need rules, ethics, and practices to be defined to best communicate amongst our directors, staff, and members. We need guidelines and professionalism that we can count on for our membership business at all levels. We need the accountability of Robert Rules to show our seriousness and commitment to each other. We have a lot of ideas in Sun City, viewpoints, opinions, and input. They come from many places, the management, the board, and the members. Ultimately, we have majority and minority side of things, and each deserves to be shared and protected. I recognize and commit myself to show up and speak up. I challenge you to listen to many voices, viewpoints, and opinions, and help us create and maintain the best Sun City possible. You are the example for running our meetings with a set of rules, ethics, and practices that make sure that all voices are heard and considered. We need the accountability of Robert's Rules for parliamentary procedure to show our seriousness and commitment to each other. Please do the right thing. Do not vote in favor of the language change on this motion. Thank you.
William Day.
Good morning. My name is William Day. My number 136264. I've been a president of a school board in Illinois, and we always used Robert's Rules of Order to conduct our meeting. I feel changing the wording from shall, which means you will follow Robert's Rules of Order, to may, which means you don't have to, is inadvisable. Robert's Rules not only helps you control your meeting, but it provides accountability. If there isn't a motion, a second, a discussion, and a vote, then there isn't accountability, and the board can do whatever they want to. Robert's Rules also allows members to comment on motions, and without it, you don't have to listen to me right now, or any other member, and you can again do whatever you want. So my question to you is, why are we entertaining a motion to change it from shall to may?
Okay, using your time. I will tell you that when I look at it, my intent is to still follow Robert's Rules of Order. However, oh, I'm sorry.
Are you shouting now?
I'm sorry. My intent is to still follow it, but there are some times that, and I will take, for instance, when we had a motion, we had a board member who said, I would table this motion instead of saying I postpone. And because of that, then we had all these hated emails about it. Same action, but it was the wording. And that was the one reason why I looked at it as, yes, I still want to follow them, but to give us a little bit of leeway. That was my reason.
Madam President?
Yes.
Please remember, we are going to follow Robert's rules. There are a lot of different versions out there. Which version would you like us to follow? Because the minute we get all these corrections from the email saying we didn't do this correctly, then we try to correct it, then somebody else says, well, no, that's not right either. So I was like, exactly how do you want us to do this? Do you want us to follow this version, that version, that version? Because I've been involved in a lot of school boards also, and a lot of different boards, and there are some different versions out there for different situations.
Madam President.
Yes. Director Collins, you got 27 seconds.
I'm listening, and I'm wondering, can't we appoint a parliamentarian or hire a parliamentarian to come to our meetings?
We actually tried to do that from a person who is constantly criticizing us, and this person chose not to do it, said they didn't know enough about Robert's Rules to do that.
And nobody else has stepped up to the plate to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christy Svensson.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
You have to come to the microphone.
Christy Svensson, 137489. Madam President and Board, what's been said so far, I am totally in support of, and I believe in my heart that Robert's Rules of Order cannot be let go. It needs to be mandated. You guys need to be doing it, because without it, we've got mayhem. We've got what we've got right now. We've got misunderstanding, and that's not what anybody wants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you signed up for agenda item number 1 and 2, so if you want to speak on the other one, you may now too.
This was the one about No, the other one.
Annual meeting.
The annual meeting, yeah. I am embarrassed to say, and thank you for catching me on that one. I'm embarrassed to say that I've only been to 2 annual meetings in the 5 years I've been here. And I think that we need our annual meeting. And to put this language in there is not necessary, because we did survive, or we are surviving the pandemic, and we are going through the act of God stuff, and we are wearing masks and socially distancing, but at the same time, to table the idea of having a board meeting or an annual meeting every year is unconscionable. Because right now, we just came through the worst of it, and we're not through it yet by any means, but at the same time, we need our annual meeting. Period. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Dottie Parody.
Good morning, Madam President, Board of Directors. My name is Dottie Parody, and my number is 113284. I wanted to speak again, like others, about the change in Robert's rules. Now, in talking to members of the board, I got an explanation as to your concern because you keep getting emails for improperly following the rules, not the proper words. And as a former president of a club here in Sun City, I know what you're going through, because trying to follow Robert's Rules of Order at times is very difficult, especially when you are changing members of the board, and some of them might not be familiar with standard policy or how you follow Robert's Rules of Orders. I believe Director Collins made a statement, which I was going to suggest, is that you maybe look for a volunteer parliamentarian that is willing to sit in, not with opinions, but just to help to make sure that if the board verbally makes a mistake the wrong way or something, that they can bring it to your attention so that you won't be criticized by other people. That's my one suggestion. The other thing is I am adamantly opposed to changing the wording. I understand your reasoning, but I believe, especially in this given climate right now, that it is being totally misconceived. People believe that you're doing it so that you will have flexibility, the board will have flexibility, not so that you won't be, because it's difficult to follow the rules. They may be difficult, but I'm sure you all have the ability to do it and do it properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie.
Anita Dow.
Say it again. Oh, no, she's not.
My name is Anita Dahl. My member number is 151991. Madam President and the board, I'm here to speak on agenda item number 2, changing the wording from shall to may. I first was introduced to Robert Rules of Order when I was in high school. All FHA and FFA members were able to take a class during the school year on leadership, where we studied Robert Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order was brought into fruition in 1876 by Henry Martin Robert. It was last revised in 1970. There are not a lot of different rules out there. It does consist of 714 pages, and yes, people have read them from cover to cover. I then left high school and got into the real world. And every ladies' church group I went to, parish council meeting, PTO, school board meetings, city council meetings, even my daughter's brownie group did Robert Rules of Order. We moved in here in January of 2020. First thing I did was attend our annual meeting for our COA. Robert's Rules of Order was used. My next meeting was the annual meeting of the RCSC. Robert Rules of Order were used, and no meeting took place because there was not a quorum due to Robert's Rules of Order. I then started attending every RCSC meeting. I've been to every one, either in person or via YouTube. All the time, Robert's Rules of Order were used. It's called Robert Rules of Order. Rules are rules. They cannot be shall. I'm sure when we gave our children a rule, we'd never allow them to say, may I follow this one? It's a rule. Millions of organizations do use Robert's Rules of Order, and I ask us to do the same. It's a very slippery slope to slip one word difference into this, into the rules here. I'm asking you to either just take it off of the agenda item or vote no. Also, with what I've been hearing, I would really suggest that maybe we hire a parliamentarian. We have money for police officers. Let's have money for a parliamentarian. Thank you.
Dave Sinclair. Dave Sinclair.
Morning, David Sinclair, 115879. This has to do with the membership meeting. Sorry. The membership meeting, item number 1. The timing of the motion just is confusing. So we're 18 months into this pandemic, not a year or 6 months or whatever. It just had a concert in this hall 4 days ago with several thousand people at it. You had a senior expo in here 2 days ago with just wall-to-wall bodies, and now you're worried about having a membership meeting. So why now? And do you anticipate using this proposed bylaw change to escape the requirement for the annual membership meeting in 2021? Mr. Hoffer wrote this, but anybody?
I did not write it. I'm just giving it.
I'm sorry. Were this amendment to pass, who will decide whether circumstances, quote, prevent the ability to conduct a meeting, and what would be the basis for that decision? Thoughts? Secretary Lear?
Okay, it's part of the time, yes.
You know, when this pandemic hit, you know, we did not have anything in our bylaws to do this. And then things happened, and yeah, should we have put this in here sooner? Probably so. But the fact is, it's kind of a done, you can't, some things you have no control of. We could not have had this meeting when we were in lockdown.
In February.
So, you know, it is what it is. It needs to be here because, God forbid, something happens, some act of God that we have no control of, and we're still, you know, it's a housekeeping issue more than anything else. Okay?
I accept your explanation. No, it's not really okay, but...
Well...
Okay.
Well,
let him finish, Bill, and then...
The thing concerns me. I know you can find an expert that's going to tell you can't hold a meeting. Would you be willing to hold yourself to the laws of the state of Arizona regarding when a meeting would be canceled because of a pandemic? Or are you just going to follow any experts you can find?
We have followed the CDC, the state guidelines.
State.
We've followed everything we can to be in compliance with information regarding this pandemic. It's not something we just went willy-nilly and did on our own. And we did not have anything to address that. So this truly is a housekeeping. Is this about a meeting taking place this year or next year or 5 years from now? No. It's that we have this in place now.
Madam President? So is there a meeting scheduled for 2021?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your time is up. Bill?
Thank you, Madam President, Board of Directors. So there's a couple of other things, too, with the annual meeting, and much of that meeting is surrounded by portraying the current year budget. And so that's why we always had it in February, because the budget was approved by then. So we will not have a budget approved until probably November of this year. And then the other thing is that the concerts and such are voluntary events where people can go, and if they're comfortable doing that, that's great. But this, since there's a requirement for a quorum, could be viewed as, well, with people not comfortable in group settings yet, could be viewed as something that's limiting that quorum as well. So.
Okay. Marcia?
Mike Wendell?
Mike Wendell, 145206. I signed up for the Robert's Rules of Order agenda item, and I agree with everything that everyone said, and I'm not going to repeat what they've said. However, I'll just make one statement here. It's wrong. That agenda item is totally wrong to change the word shall to may and to make something optional. Intent is not enough. Director Wilson, President Wilson, educate us. If people don't know the difference between table a motion and postpone a motion, that's education. Communicate with us. You got Sunviews, you got your email blast, you got lots of ways to communicate. I get lots of spam, I get lots of email things I don't like. It's easy to click delete, go right on by. Do that. You know, I'm not expecting people to threaten you, and I'm not threatening anyone, but this is just plain wrong. Okay. It should not be there. It fills in the gaps that are in our bylaws and in our rules and regulations and everything else. What we have in our bylaws supersedes it, but this fills in the gaps. And now you're going to say, we'll fill in the gaps however we decide fit when we do it. And intent is not enough. Intent is not enough based on what you've done over the last 3 to 4 months with having hastily called board meeting, board session, as you call it, with limited notice. And there's a lot of things to imply as to why you did it that way. It isn't just because we have to go out and buy something tomorrow. It wasn't that kind of an incident with the golf building. You want to approve a budget item, fine. Okay. It could have waited till this meeting. But I'm talking about procedure and Robert's rules. You violated things in doing that, and now you want to take more power away from the members in order to communicate. That's how it appears. This is my opinion. These are my comments. And as far as hiring a parliamentarian, pay for it. The comment was made, perfect comment. Police officers, you're paying for them. What's one person up here that you pay for that's independent, is knowledgeable in it, and can oversee the process and make sure that you do things in the open, not in the dark, not in secret rooms. You have violated due process, in my opinion, over the last 3 or 4 months. Hiding behind secrecy with meetings, hiding behind hastily called, putting it at a time when all I can surmise is, well, people won't want to show up because they have other conflicts and everything. This is the most well-attended meeting I've ever seen in the last 3.5 years I've lived here.
Thank you.
Joe Brouch. I would like to say something here. Should I just shut up?
Secretary Lear?
I'm sorry. You know, we have not had, and I know it was printed in the newspaper incorrectly, we have not had a secret meeting, ever. I have run on this. I want transparency. I want meetings to be open. I have never attended a secret meeting. A special session, you need to read the bylaws, is in there.
72 hours, and that's what it was.
You know, executive session, everything is handled according to the rules. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, sir. You had your time, this is my time. When you say things that are not correct.
Oh, no. Oh, excuse us, please.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
This is not a rally.
Excuse me.
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
We're ready.
They're
They're not
I need
listening.
to say something, please.
Okay.
We do have legal advice. We have an attorney that we run everything past, and our attorney gives us legal advice, and every time we do something, make a move, we do run that by our attorney. And as far as paying, not wanting to pay a parliamentarian, we've asked for people to step up and do it. Nobody has done it. You say, oh, just do it. Well, if nobody's going to step up to the plate, what we're supposed to do, just pull them out of the sky?
Okay.
Nobody wants to be hired even. Nobody said it. We've asked them. Nobody's stepped up.
Okay.
Why don't you step up and do it?
Let's move on, please.
Joe Broush, 155-997. That was an awfully long 3 minutes. Madam President, board members, regarding Agenda Item 1, Director Hoffer's motion to add wording, the phrases act of God and especially limiting circumstances are ambiguous and vague. They are not defined, and no indication is given as to whose responsibility it is to interpret them. According to these words, a meeting could be canceled due to rain or an insufficient number of seating chairs. My examples are intended to be somewhat ridiculous to point out the fact, as we've seen, ridiculous interpretations can lead to problems. This wording aids in removing one of the last checks and balances in this already imperfect document, since a membership meeting can be a place where errant or biased wording can be fixed in the articles or bylaws. Creating excuses to prevent the members from their duty of assembly is not in the best interest of the membership nor the organization as a whole. And just as a footnote, the COVID restrictions were lifted in March of this year. Regarding Agenda Item 2, Director Schroeder's motion to change the word shall to may removes any obligation you have to follow established rules of order. My understanding is that one aspect of Robert's rules is that it allows for open and transparent debate in an open and public forum by minority or dissenting opinions. Without it, there lies the potential for a dictator or simple majority to squash minority opinions, squash debate, squash open and transparent discussions on motions and questions before the board. Allowing these actions is decidedly against the best interest of the membership. I would also suggest a stronger effort be made for a parliamentarian. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jean Taunton.
Madam President and directors, my name is Jean Totten, number 148753. I noticed the clock has been set for 3 minutes. I'd like to make a statement that you were following Robert's Rules of Order back in the June board meeting when this new action went into place that we could only speak for 3 minutes. That was should have been presented as a special rule of order, which would be adopted separately from the bylaws, so it's not properly documented, nor is it found under the corporate documents like the golf ball one at a time or the pool noodle not being too close to you. Those I have seen have already been added, but the 3-minute rule is not in there. And I would just like to state that. So I think I should have 6 minutes since I want to speak on agenda or the motion 1 and 2. Regarding the verbiage for the annual meeting, my opinion is that the sentence should be added at the last board meeting of 2021, so that it affects the years going forward, not this year. I would think instead that you folks would want to have the grandest annual meeting this year of all. We're back to normal after a horrid year of not being able to participate, watching our $496 go where? Except, of course, for golf and bowling. Regarding Robert's rules, Madam President, I believe President Wilson, I believe in an email to a member, you wrote that the rules are very complex, and with new board members every year that are volunteers, it is very difficult to always do everything exactly right. I just wondered how the newest board members felt about the insinuation that they're volunteers and they might not do everything right. A little homework on everyone's part when they become a board member, reading up on the Roberts Rules of Order should do it. We've got your back, you said, Director Rooney? I don't think so.
Donna Hollick.
I'd like to clarify, I've signed up for 1 and 2. Will I get 6 minutes or only 3?
No.
3. So should I have signed up on 2 lines?
You're wasting your time right now.
Well, all right. Donna Hollick, 119535, and I'm a member. I'm not a card holder. I previously served on a board where it was caring for babies with AIDS, so it's quite important that we followed Robert's Rules of Orders. I was young. I was not an elitist. That was people on the board that were lawyers and people from Hollywood and such. I carried Robert's Rules of Orders with me to every board meeting to make sure I followed it. I understand that we just spent approved for $4 million for a golf course maintenance shed. We're going to spend $18 to $30 million redoing Mountain View. Why can't we hire a parliamentarian? Director Atkins said you had trouble finding them. Let me read what I just found online for you. A PRP is a credentialed consultant who can advise you to organize its leaders and members, committees, and staff on parliamentary law. You can find them at parliamentarians.org. That is where you can go to hire a parliamentarian for this board. So you will not need to pass this motion. It's online.
I know where it is. Nobody has stepped up.
No.
You're not listening.
No. I'm asking you to hire somebody. I'm telling you where this board can go to hire, so you do not need to pass this motion. As far as the annual meeting, again, we're authorizing millions of dollars to be spent on infrastructure, which is great. So why can't we have technology so that we have Zoom meetings like other communities? If you have a pandemic and you think you need to cancel the annual meeting, simply have it by Zoom. Other communities have done it. We're supposed to be the leaders. Let's have an annual meeting, and if you feel like there's a problem, let's have it online by Zoom. We have the money. We're spending it. Let's spend it the right way.
Lori Ellingson.
Lori Ellingson, Member 133335, Madam President and Director of the Board. I signed up for both Agenda 1 and Agenda 2, so like Arnold Schwarzenegger, if my 3 minutes is up, I'll be back.
After member comments, yes.
The first agenda, Item number 1 was made motion by Director Hoffer on annual membership meeting. My question is, Sun City Grand has all of their board meetings by Zoom. You are involved with communications and technology. You have put out several publications. Would it be possible for Sun City to also have our board meetings and our annual membership meeting by Zoom?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know whether that's feasible or not at this point in time.
Would you be willing to look into it and do research on that?
Sure.
And schools, universities, U.S. Congress, everyone are now doing everything on Zoom. Is there a reason why Sun City RCSC has not followed that trend?
Again, are you asking me?
Yes.
I don't know. You're asking me questions I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you.
Do you feel it's important that you check into it?
I will check into it, yes.
Madam President?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, because she has her 3 minutes left.
So
I'm good.
I signed up to be a candidate for the board for next year. In my packet, I received 2021 board meetings. On here is listed October 18th, annual member meeting, 6:30 p.m. Sundial. Will we be having that annual member meeting as posted?
Not right now. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be one this year. It just means it won't be on October 18th.
And why is that?
We've always,
Just because of the fact that we're on a time crunch now in order to be able to do one. It takes a lot of work in order to have an annual meeting. It is not something that you can pull off in a week, 2 weeks.
Time.
Thank you.
Can I just say something?
We won't have an approved budget, it's true. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make a comment to Lori's question. You know, when the Long Range Planning Committee did a lot of work this year looking at doing a survey of current members, and we broke the population, the 34,000 some people who live here, members, by age groups. And there is a significant number of people who are members who are older. And when we did a random sampling of those, there were several who did not even have email. So can we do Zoom? Yes. Are we cutting a big chunk of the population out? Probably. Is that fair? Probably not. So there's a lot more to consider. The vast majority of people here are younger. I get it. You've embraced technology, but we have to think about the other people who are also members and are equally important in this community, and they may not be able to participate in a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Marcia, any more?
Rachel Tronovich?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Madam President,
Yeah.
members of the board, my name is Rachel Tronovich.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's your name again?
Rachel Tronovich, member number, thank you, 157646. And I wanted to speak on both agenda items 1 and 2. So a lot have been said, much more eloquently than I could ever express. I just wanted to add regarding the annual membership meeting, in times of crisis like a pandemic, acts of God, I think it's all the more important that we have a membership meeting, however we can coordinate that. Maybe we can't bring people together physically, but certainly there's a way that people can be brought together somehow, even if it's limited. And those should be considered. It shouldn't just be, we may not have a meeting. I think there should be consideration that efforts will be made to have a meeting in another mode of delivery, because I think the communication process, especially in times of crisis, is even more important. So just wanted to mention that. Regarding the Robert's Rule of Orders, I don't know if I can say anything more that hasn't already been said. So maybe what I would suggest is, considering the environment of a little bit of mistrust of the board right now, whether that's true, legitimized or not, that seems to be the case, that this probably isn't the best time to try and change the language to say, to give the board latitude to follow or not follow Robert's Rule of Order. It's a generally accepted protocol that has an intention of trying to serve the general will of the people. And so my suggestion is to perhaps table this motion. So, thank you.
Madam President, no one else has signed up to speak on the agenda items.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. Okay, moving on. Director Hofer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to amend corporate bylaws, Article 4, titled Membership Meeting, Section 1, titled Annual Membership Meeting as follows. An annual meeting of the members shall be held each year, adding the phrases, except in the case where an act of God or other limiting circumstance, such as a pandemic, prevents the ability to conduct a meeting. The rest would stay the same.
Okay, I need a second.
Madam President?
Yes.
I move that we table this motion.
Okay. First, okay, Steve,
not correct.
before I can do that, I have to have a second on the motion before I can even do that. So I need a second on the motion. Director Schroeder?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion has been seconded. Now Director Collins?
Madam President, I make a motion that we table this.
Not table. Not tabled, it has to be postponed. Postponed.
Robert's Rules.
Okay, I make a motion, we postpone this motion.
I second.
Seconded, okay. Any discussion on this before we vote on the motion to postpone this? Okay.
Madam President?
Yes.
I do have a question following Robert's Rules of Order.
Yes.
Is this postponing definitely or indefinitely?
Good question.
I make a motion that we postpone this until January 2022.
Okay,
I second.
and that is seconded. Okay, so it is, the motion right now is to postpone it until January of 2022. Now, any discussion? Okay. I'm going for a vote. Vice President Ecke, we're talking right now about the postponement.
Yes.
Secretary Lair.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Schroeder.
Yes.
Director Hofer.
Yes.
Director Westmeyer.
Yes.
Director Akins.
Yes.
Treasurer Rooney.
Yes.
And I vote yes. That means that the motion will be postponed until January of 2022. Agenda item 2, Director Schroeder.
Madam President, I move to amend the corporate bylaws as follows. Article 4, Section 4, replace the word shall with the word may. Article 5, Section 5, again, replace the word shall with the word may. And Article 6, Section 5, again, replace the word shall with the word may.
Okay, I need a second on that motion. I do not have a second, so the motion fails. Okay. Member comments. Again, we'll have the floor open. Marcia will call the listing. You'll have 3 minutes as you come to speak. If you did not get everything made, your comments finished by then, you may return after everyone's had their first chance to speak.
Lynn Leibold.
Lynn Leibold, 102-369. Board of Directors, Management. I attended the last board meeting on September 13th and was rather surprised at the staged protests. Some of them were rude enough to stand in front of those of us sitting and block our view of the board while they were doing their protesting. When the meeting was adjourned due to the signs being waved and the disruption, I walked down to the front to ask a question of one of the members of management on a personal basis. While talking, I noticed a woman using her phone and taking videos of us and all the other management people and the remaining crowd. When I started to leave, I was asked if I was there to protest by another person, and I told them I do not do protests, and was very uncomfortable about the video being taken. I did not know who she was until later when Lori introduced herself as a candidate for the election. While I do acknowledge that RCSC films the meetings and accept that, I do not approve of the action that was taken by this candidate. I did not, nor would I have given permission to her. I do not know what she wants that video for or how it's being used. Any candidate, before I say that, I am the third generation resident here. I have served on committees. I have had arguments with committee members, discussions. So I do have experience. Any candidate running for the board that has just a controversial agenda does not make a very good candidate or a board member. You don't represent 100 or 600 members. You represent 30. Those of you who went to the special meeting Monday, the 20th, saw an example of a board that listened and answered questions and answered them fairly. And don't smirk, Lori. I was highly insulted by the video. It was like I was being told I was on the wrong side, okay? If more people would come, this is a good turnout. This is a good turnout for listening. You had your input. You were listened to by the board. They did what you wanted to do, at least for now. Continue to come. Continue to provide info to them, and they will continue to tell you.
Time.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Karen Sharman.
Karen Sharman, 117652. I was going to say a couple of other things, but after listening to the entire morning so far, I have a couple of things to say. First of all, I would like to compliment Jan for her comments. I thought they were very pertinent and very apropos. And there was a lot that she said that I hope a lot of people in this room take to heart. Number two, this shows me that there is a great deal of talent and education in this room. And bright people are very upset about some things, but at least it drew them out. I've been coming to these meetings for 22 years, and I've missed very few. And most of the people in this room, I would venture to say, haven't been to 5 to 10. And I hope that this encourages them to become active, to take part. If you're interested in an area, if you're interested in finance, go to the financial meetings, find out when they are, they're all listed. Join committees, express your opinions, and do it positively, because there is so much good in this community. I hate to see it ripped apart. And I know that we all get very emotional about a variety of things, but don't let one thing or a single item dictate only the interest that you have in this community, because there's a lot more to it than that. So just take part in it, and like I said, it's different. I'm encouraged and I'm discouraged by a meeting like this. I'd like to see more positive comments and saying, okay, I can help make a change, or not, but participate and do it in a nice way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Christy Svensson. Yes, you wanted to talk about the golf carts.
Christy Svensson, 137489. Madam Chair and Board, my big problem with the golf cart thing is that I'll just read back to you what it says there. For safety reasons, no more than 2 people and 2 golf bags are permitted on the cart. What cart? Your cart? My cart? You know, what cart? And also, further, you mandate at least 2 people per cart when possible. Is there a contradiction there?
What?
I think so. Well, why this rule? These are mature men and women, most of whom have golfed for more than 50 years. Why bother their common sense with more rules? I mean, what's the deal there? Is there a problem with the golf course, with maintenance, or people parking on the greens, or, you know, I don't know. I'm not a golfer, but I don't get it. I honestly don't get all the rules. It is intimidating.
Yes.
And I think it's unnecessary.
Madam President.
Thank you.
Hold on. Yes, Director Collins wants to speak.
Ma'am, I asked the same question, and what I was told was our golf courses get more use in a week or a month than some of these PGA courses get all year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can limit down the number of golf carts riding on it, it will preserve our course and keep it better. I guess some of the groups had 5 when they play. So that way you don't want 5 golf carts if you can have 3, you know?
We could have 5
We
now.
can have 5 on the court.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
if you can get them to go in 3 golf carts rather than 5 golf carts, it saves wear and tear and money that we have to spend to keep our golf courses as nice as we can.
I agree with that. Then why not, it says no more than 2 people and 2 golf bags on 1 cart? What about those carts that have the jump seats in the back that are designed to carry 4 people? Why can't they be out there?
Those are not golf carts. Those are utility vehicles.
It does make sense.
Okay.
You won't have any for the golf
Thank you.
carts.
Madam President.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jim Kepler?
Okay. So you didn't hold minutes.
You know what I'm saying? You just shut up.
Jim Kepler? No? Okay. Paula Sandoval? Oh, that's Jim? Okay, sorry.
No.
He said no.
Oh,
Paula Sandoval?
Paula Sandoval?
Okay.
All right, Madam President, no one else has signed up to speak.
So at this time, the floor is open if there is someone who'd like to make a comment. And again, first time, can you wait till board comment?
I thought we were on board comments.
No, we're not on board comments yet. Oh, we're on member comments. Dottie?
Good morning, Madam President, directors. My name is Dottie Parody, 113284. I'm going to talk about something and ask the board a question and ask them to check into something for me, totally different than what a lot of people are talking about this morning. We have been talking about trying to get accurate usage counts. Now, I know every one of our recreation facilities have monitors that sit, and you have to sign in if you're going to use the pool, the gym, or what have you. I have asked previously about Duffyland Dog Park. Currently, it's an unwanted dog park. The club helps try to inform people on proper behavior there, different people. We all help each other at the dog park. But there is no way for us currently to monitor usage unless we had somebody sit there during, or several people sit there and count. I had talked to Chris Herring in years past about electricity. There is an electric box at the facility outside in the parking lot that apparently used to be, I'm not sure where it was used, but about getting the gates electrified and then using key fobs to track people coming in. That way you'll make sure that they're members. They'll have a key fob, the fob, get an accurate count of usage. You won't know how many dogs come in and out because some people have 2 dogs, some people have 3. Some only have 1. But you will have a better idea of the usage, and I think you'll be very surprised at the usage of that dog park. And of course, my ultimate reason is I want to discuss next year a second dog park in Sun City, in the need of it. But I want to get counts first. So I'd like the board to consider doing something there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dottie.
Tracy Besselbarger, 116319. I need to comment on that because I've had some conversations with Chris. It's sort of been put on the back burner, which it would be nice to bring forward to put the electricity in to do the key fobs. He said it would be the dot like, what's the one over there by you?
Huh?
What's that place over there by you, the rec center? The rec center by you.
Oh, Mountain View.
No, the other one.
Fairway.
Yeah, Fairway. Okay, I'm sorry, it's been a while. The dot on the back of it, so you can get in the back door. We're supposed to do that because the club and the park are 2 separate, entities. They're not the same. But to get the usage for the park, to know how many people are coming and stuff, he said that they were going to run the electricity and do the key fobs, and that way you would know what the usage of the park is, because it is overabundance. It's more than we've ever had before, and it would be nice, like Dottie was saying to look for the second dog park, which was supposed to be the first dog park before you guys bought this dog park. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tracy.
Mike Wendell, 145206. I want to tell the board, there's a lot of intelligence in the board. I respect what the board does. I understand the volunteer efforts that you put in and that you're not paid. I fully understand that. I've served on boards myself. It's a lot of work. It's quite a commitment. So I do applaud you for at least taking that step and being up there and doing this job. However, there are times of confrontation, and I'm not going to go back to things that have already been discussed, but I will make a few comments here. And one is, during one of the things, mention was made about new board members coming on and maybe not understanding parliamentary procedure and so on and so forth. The reason we rotate 3 board members each cycle is that there are 6 remaining. And 3 of those should have been on for 2 years, 3 of those should have been on for 1 year, and then you have the new ones coming in. So this is for continuity. So it's not just ignorance and we don't know how to deal with it, and we have a problem. So I don't see it as a serious problem. You already have a procedure to follow that and do that. The other thing I want to mention is communication. I served on the communication committee here for over a year. Communication committee's changed. I had my differences of opinion and so forth about what's going on. But one thing that happened in January of 2021 is you stopped distributing Sun Views in the Independent, the Sun City Independent. So I inquired. I made a formal inquiry. I got a response from Jan Eck to my questions, and I found out that really it comes down to $15,000 to $20,000 a year of increased expense. When you take that into account of a $15 million operating budget, that's less than 0.17%, 0.17. And you decided to not communicate with 20-some thousand people. Everybody in this community is not on the internet. Everybody in this community does not have email. Everybody doesn't, and if everybody went to the rec centers, we'd be overrun and you couldn't handle it. What works in here is the fact that most people don't go to the rec centers. Those that are active go there. So that thing shows me you didn't place much value on communicating with the users. Over $10,000 to $15,000. There were a couple options. And you didn't take them, you just said, we're not going to do it, we're going to put it on the table in the rec center. Okay? So that shows me there wasn't much importance placed on it. A comment was made to me, I've seen newspapers sit on the driveways. I don't care if there's 100 that sit on the driveways. If there's 1,000, the circulation of the Daily Independent as of March, when I contacted them, was 23,700. Now we're down to, I'm lucky, I'd be surprised if you got 2,000 copies. I don't know how many copies you print. I haven't gone back and asked. But you've cut back a major part of communication. And so that to me is important. I think that there are some things that you have to put in perspective. And from a budget point of view, like they said, you can pay for police officers, you can do all these other things. You couldn't pay for Sunviews to still go out and use it as a vehicle to educate us when there's a point of ignorance that comes up. Write the article, put it out there, get it in Sunviews, get it out to everybody. Thank you.
Bill Pearson, 133438. I will be both brief and succinct, which I don't do well either. In 1960, Del Webb opened Sun City. 7 rec centers. With each ensuing rec center, he gave it to the community almost immediately. The community took ownership and responsibility. It was a pretty cool setup because we actually paid for it, but that's a whole other discussion. The golf courses, however, took until 1977 before they were turned over to the RCSC, and there was a concern that they would become a money pit. And so the question becomes very simply, do you as a board understand the conditions that those golf courses were taken under?
Yeah.
You know that they have to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
That the the cost of a round of golf has to be commensurate with the cost of upkeep. Now, you get a freebie on the PIF, freely admit that, but without question, the biggest challenge this board, whether it's you or anybody else, whoever serves up there next, will be the water issue. We already know what's coming in 2025. We know that the cost to do the South course is what, Brian, $4 million? I don't know, pick a number. All of the other courses, when they don't give you water for the roughs, has got to come from somewhere. If you can't take it from PIF, it's got to come out of general operating budgets. And so I would behoove this board to figure out where we are with golf and make sure that the cost of a round of golf is actually the cost of keeping up those courses. I'm not going to argue whether it is or isn't. I have my own particular feelings on it. But I will tell you, as a fiduciary, Dale, that you talked about, golf. And this is a golfing community. It'll always be a golfing community. But the cost of a round of golf, you've got to factor in water, seed, maintenance. And you can't be shifting things around. As a fiduciary, you've got an obligation to make sure that every dime it costs to run a golf course is billed back to the cost of a round of golf. That's the way they were taken. That's the way it's supposed to work. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, wait and make sure that we have everybody first time, and then I'll let you come back up.
Robert Court, 141991. On August 16th, I was in the Camera Guild of Sun City. There were 3 people in the Camera Guild at the time. The 3 of us had a conversation about the new Sun City AZ in Focus video series. And it was stated that there was one negative review, and it was believed it had something to do with the ousting of Karen McAdam. When I made a comment that she didn't have a fair shake, Mike Agee stated that if people only knew the whole story, and if I knew the whole story, something to the effect of I would walk up to her and smack or punch her in the mouth. It wasn't until he said that Sue Wilson is receiving hate email over this, the way the firing was handled, but he as vice president was not receiving such emails. I learned he was on the board. That day I emailed everybody on the board and received only one reply. Sue Wilson sent an email the next day stating something like this: I investigated your claim. Mike Agee denies ever saying anything derogatory against Karen McAdam. And there was a witness to this whole conversation. He corroborates Mike Agee's claim. Note, the word derogatory means insulting, which doesn't address the original threatening statement. I also asked the witness on August 19th, and he said he did not corroborate Mike Agee's version. He says he remembers Mike saying the first part, if he only knew, but he did not verify one way or the other if what he said, they said the second half of it about the threatening part. And the word corroborate means to make more certain or to confirm or to establish facts. So I guess I'm here to ask Mike Agee if he remembers that interaction and if he denies making that comment.
Mr. Court, I absolutely deny making that comment.
Okay. So now, no, that's okay. You've answered it. So now it just comes down to a he said situation.
Absolutely.
I worked in criminal justice for 30 years, and when it comes down to a he said situation, it always comes down to motive. I have no motive. I don't know you. I don't know Karen McAdam. I don't play pickleball, and it's a wild accusation just to make, just for somebody I don't know. I've never met you before, and if it wasn't for that 10-minute conversation, I wouldn't be up here now. But what motivation do you have for telling your version of the story, because there's just going to be you and me. Maybe you've had problems with Karen McAdam in the past. Maybe you have had an incident report filed on you about maybe with her again. I don't know, but I know I didn't lie on it. But I know the email that I got back was kind of...
Time.
Yeah, I thought so. I'll be back.
No, that's fine. Jesus Christ.
Carol Aaron, 22036. I'd like to kind of report on Karen's incident, too. I wrote a letter to the board and sent it on September 17th after the board meeting was closed and we weren't allowed to speak. So I decided to go ahead and send my email to all of you members. I did get a response back from Sue, and I would like to mention that she responded pretty in an orderly manner, and her response was okay. One of the ladies mentioned something about the, I'm probably wasting my time, so let me forget about that. Let's see, when I mentioned in my letter to the board that I thought Karen was unfairly dismissed from the board, her response was, and I quote, Miss McAdam had a 28-hour notice of the executive meeting and did not tell me nor the office that she was leaving the country, which is what is expected when board members are gone. The board takes off July and August, so therefore the executive session was held in June, which is a month we are still responsible for meetings.
Yes.
I would just like to say that at the June 24th meeting, which I looked over on the video many times just to make sure I was quoting you correctly, that at the very end, you quoted, "Our next meeting is not until September 13th. We have the summer off." That was her last statement at the meeting. As a result of this statement, Karen probably assumed there were no more meetings until the 13th of September. So she went about her business the next day to prepare for her trip, which she was leaving. She was scheduled to leave the following morning on Saturday, September 26th. She was in Sun City all day on Friday and never had a call or a text to confirm that she had gotten the email. No effort was made to make sure she was aware of the meeting. As a result, by the time she read the email, the meeting was already over. A 28-hour notice for a meeting the next day at 2 o'clock. That means at 9 o'clock, when President Wilson was officiating the board meeting on Thursday, the 24th of June, she sent out an email to all the board members around 10 o'clock about the closed executive meeting for the 25th of June at 2. According to the video, the thing lasted an hour and 40 minutes, okay? That means during the meeting, that email was sent out. She never asked Karen if she had received it.
And just to answer, it is our job to be on duty for 10 months of the year. That was still our 10 months.
Madam President, if I may?
Yes.
I would like to add, because I sat next to Mrs. McAdam during that meeting, she had her laptop open, or her iPad open, and I watched at 9:38 a.m. that email come in on her laptop. So I know what she had told the newspaper, what she said in additional comments is not true, because I watched it come in. We all have time-stamped emails that it came in at 9:38 in the morning, period.
Okay. Tom Marone, 100825. Just to make the record, keep the record straight here, we talk about rules. The board had violated their own bylaws by not stating the purpose of the meeting, that when they called the special session to terminate Kyron Wilson, they did not specify the purpose of the call in the meeting, which is in your own bylaws.
It was an executive session.
It was an executive.
No, yeah, a executive session is a special meeting.
No, it's
It's a
not.
special
No, it is
session.
not.
No, it's not.
No, it is
Well, then
not.
you don't understand what a special session is.
Read the
Yes, we
bylaw.
do. We had a special session
And you don't-
last week, and you did have a 72-hour notice. When it comes to executive sessions, no. We have to follow our
An
bylaws.
executive session is only a portion of the meeting. Just like this meeting right now, you can call an executive session and everything will be held in secret, but it's still a meeting.
No,
Yes.
no, Tom,
Read the
it's not.
A special session is any meeting that's other than a regularly adjourned meeting,
No,
correct?
No.
No.
You need to look at our bylaws
No,
because
you need to
executive
look at
sessions.
Robert's rules. Anything that is not a regularly scheduled meeting is a special session.
No, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
I got a book over here, 700 pages, I can show you where you're wrong. So I don't know where you're getting your legal advice from, but essentially what
Our
I'm telling
attorney.
you right now, before my time runs out, is the meeting that you called, that special session, was an improperly called meeting because you did not state the purpose of the meeting in the call of the meeting, number one. Number two, the only transactions that can be transpired during a special session is that which is stated in the special call of the meeting. That's number two. And number three, any motion that was made during that special session was an improperly, was out of, it wasn't a legal motion because you were in violation of the bylaws. And the bylaw that you violated was you didn't specify what the special meeting was going to be about. Now,
The special session, I'm sorry, you and I totally disagree on this. Special sessions are different from executive sessions.
Executive no, you can have a special session
Which
that
we did last week.
doesn't have an executive session within it. All the executive session does is it puts all your transactions in secrecy. That can be done in any meeting. It can be done in a regular meeting. It can be done in a special session. An executive session is not a meeting in and of itself, but it could be, just like your special session was held in executive session. It wasn't in executive session.
No.
Tom?
Yes?
MVP.
I'm sorry, Madam President? Okay, you need to go back and look at Article 5 of our bylaws, Section 5, meetings of the board. There are different types of meetings that we have.
Yes.
Okay, a special session is not an executive session.
Not
An
necessarily.
executive session,
Okay.
you need to read it, the last couple
I'm gonna-
paragraphs.
Time.
Okay, sorry.
Come back.
Robert's Rules of Order is how you proceed with the meeting, not necessarily what the bylaws are.
That's right.
There's a difference.
Karen McAdam, 122045. So I actually had no intention of standing here and saying anything at all today. But the reason that I'm here is that I feel like I have just been slandered by an accusation that I have lied about the fact that I did not know about the executive session that was held until after it took place. That is simply untrue, and I feel like I can just stand here and assure you all that I did not know anything about the executive session that resulted in my dismissal until 3:45 on Friday afternoon after that meeting was long over. Mr. Hofer, I resent the implication that you are claiming that I'm lying about that. It is simply not true. When Sue wrote to me and told me that I had been dismissed from the board and that it was unfortunate that I had chosen not to attend, I wrote back to her in a very short period of time saying, it's not true that I chose not to attend. I didn't know anything about it. I was 3 miles away from the Lakeview boardroom as you met, and I wasn't there. I was not gone. I was at home. I had my phone with me, and there was absolutely no attempt made to assure that I had been properly notified about this meeting. As you convened and you realized I wasn't there, somebody could have called me and said, well, are you coming or aren't you? Are you delayed? And that did not happen. So I'm just putting this out there because I feel like I need to clarify something that was an untruth that has been stated today. Thank you.
Hold on. I would like to state that it is our job as board members to check our iPads to find out when we have particular meetings that come up, just as everyone else did. And as far as your attendance there, you know, it's hard to say because you've missed how many board meetings, you've missed how many executive sessions, you missed the GM interviews, you missed committee meetings, you missed liaison meetings. So you not being there wasn't really a surprise. Yes.
It's true.
It is true.
It is true.
Frank Spina, 141822. Board, I respectfully disagree with your assumption, to paraphrase, that because of timing, we're not able to have the annual meeting on October 18th. You've had 10 months to plan this. I am president of my small HOA. We have to have a meeting this year to approve the budget for next year. Saying that the budget won't be ready this year, I think is what you said, and the meeting probably won't be held until January, February, I don't quite understand that unless we're on fiscal year. So maybe that can be clarified. Two, with regard to Robert's Rules of Order, I have been an official for college, high school, and junior high for 30 years. I have rules in every sport that I have to follow. I'm not able to say, well, I don't think that's right, so I'm not going to make that call. So you changing the wording to make it okay for you to say, well, a special circumstance is wrong. We all have rules that we have to follow. We can't go through red lights.
Did you not hear the action that we took?
Yes, I heard the action, but I just want to make a comment on it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's all.
You didn't change anything.
I get 3 minutes to make comments.
Okay.
So I'm just making a comment. It might come up later. You don't have to laugh, Ms. Akins.
I'm sorry.
You know, yeah, you're sorry. Thank you very much.
I apologize.
Yeah, you should.
You don't seem to be listening.
So it's just a comment that there are things that we all have to follow. And to change it for your benefit where we shall or may is, to me, absurd. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. Julie Powell, 19808. I'm a third-generation Sun Cityan and have made almost every meeting that I can since 1999 until the past year and a half. And I really appreciate these meetings being on YouTube now. I've talked to some of the members, and I will continue to ask that you videotape the committee meetings and post them on YouTube. They have been watched by so many people, and the utilization that Dale is asking for is so important to find a space. There's got to be a space where IT can film these meetings. I have to say that the two things that make me most nervous are traveling on freeways and public speaking, so I get very nervous. Hire an additional IT person, buy the equipment, do the meetings, because the summaries don't cover what is being said. It's just so general, and a lot of times they aren't put up on the website by the time the board meetings are here, so we're talking about things we don't know have already been covered. And the other thing I miss that we used to always do is have the liaison reports. Sun City is so much more than just the RCSC, and you're all liaisons for different communities, library, SHOA, fire department. Please give us a report, because when this goes out on YouTube, everybody can see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paula Sandoval, 142580, Madam President and Directors of the Board. The comment that was made after Karen McAdams spoke, that's what the citizens of Sun City see, is the snarky comeback. It is unprofessional. It is sad. I was at the June 13th meeting. I listened to all of you. I listened to Karen. She sounded, and she is, intelligent, smart, articulate. She's not snarky like so many I see here. I mean, look at, I'm hearing that. That's an example of snarkiness. Why not just try to talk nice like Jan Elk told us, facing this way? Perhaps she should have faced this way so you all could have heard the same comments. Thank you.
Oh, Jean Totten, member number 148753. Just changing the mood a little. Thank you. Is this the only forum that we have as members where we have the opportunity to speak openly and frankly about issues that affect us, and that you will listen to us with an open mind and take notes and answer any questions that may arise or follow up with us? Someone? Is this the only place?
Right.
This is it?
Well,
you can send an email.
Now, keep it short, okay? Because the fact that I only have 3 minutes, which is not really true because it was not done correctly in the meeting, I have a lot of things I want to bring up. You indulged me the last time I was here when we talked about the PIF. I went on the website and I found the PIF. I found the, what is this called? The long-range plan and budget detail. Is this your master plan, this 2-page document that started in 2016, proposed by Treasurer Kennedy, and it goes until 2024. This is your master plan? This is what you run all of your business?
I can't see what you have, so I don't know.
It's a motion resolution. It's your PIF improvement plan.
Okay, so that's
long-range
the current
plan
one.
and budget.
That's what we're working off of now.
Okay, so it was from 2016 to 2024. There's about, 2, 4, I should have counted these before, maybe 15 items of importance. About 10 of them have to do with golf. I was wondering what percentage of our, over the last 10 to 15 years, what percentage of our PIF money has gone to golf or golf-related expenditures? And would I find these expenditures listed under golf, such as seed and other things? Would I find them under golf if I requested the documentation that I'm eligible to request?
Bill or Kevin, one of you?
Madam President, Ms. Totten, so yes, you can certainly request to view, and actually all of our financials are posted on our website, so you can see all of those numbers, but you can certainly request, go to the corporate office and get a request for information.
So do you know offhand what the percentage is?
I do not.
Time.
Do any of you? I'll be back.
Okay, first time.
Joe Brouch, 155997. Madam President, board members. Sorry to start with a cliche, but just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. I do want to mention comments made and comments by Ms. Elk to begin this meeting on behavior. think it's appropriate, the process you used to remove Director McAdam violated foundational principles that we as a free society survive on: rule of law, rights of the individual, rights of the accused, and due process. She was not present as you accused, deliberated, found guilty, and executed punishment. And my simple question is, do you believe that process was respectful to the person of Karen McAdam?
Do I feel it was the right thing to do?
Respectful to her as a person in a free society.
You know what? There were lots of times that respect was not double-edged there.
I'll take that as a no. She was elected, excuse me, everybody, I think we accomplished more if we're all respectful. Thank you. She was an elected official representing 37,000 owners of this corporation that you have been entrusted to temporarily direct. You did not inform the electorate of your intentions. You did not form or involve the electorate in your deliberations. Simple question. Do you believe that those actions were respectful to us?
Secretary Lear.
I'm going to speak from personal experience because I went through this myself on a personal basis. I was accused of something. I was never told what I was accused of. There was a meeting. I was not able to participate, and I was suspended from a club for 3 months. Then after 3 months, after I served my sentence, then I requested a meeting to find out what, I explained what I did, I explained I never once, until years and years later, did I find out what I did at this meeting. What I learned from that is, and I brought up the same questions about due process, but this is a corporation, and the corporation has bylaws. And the rules sometimes seem hard. I was very upset at the time when this happened to me. I didn't think it was fair. I didn't think I had due process. What I learned, though, is that due process, that's something, that's a freedom, that's a liberty, that's something outside of a corporation. When you are part of a corporation, you got to follow their rules. And it's unfortunate, and I understand where you're coming from, but that is the truth of it.
Okay.
Time.
Thank you. First time.
Hello, my name's DeLynn May. My number is 160513. I don't know it by heart because I've only been here for 1 month. So, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here because I read about the previous meeting. I think this community is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I think it's wonderful. But I think that what I've seen today is that there is some disrespect on the board. The community here wants to rally around. I've been on a board in a community before. I've never seen this kind of a turnout in a meeting unless it was an annual meeting. But I think that when people come before you like this, it's not easy for us to come before you like this. But we don't want to be belittled when we do that. We want to be respected like you want to be respected. That person that was let go from the board, I don't know any of those circumstances, and nor do I want to try and understand them because I'm too new. But I think that gentleman right before me asked a question that did not get answered at all. It was totally turned around. He asked about the respect of the person that was at that meeting, not a previous incident that happened to someone on this board. Take and honor the questions that we're asking and respect that. We take the 3 minutes. We ask that you give us the answer that we're asking for in that 3 minutes that you're giving us. we shouldn't come to a board meeting in our community and have a police presence. I honor and respect the police, but we shouldn't have to have them in our meeting. We should be able to have the conversation here, okay? Let's let them do the job that they're supposed to do in our communities, and let's come together here and show honor to one another.
Thank you.
Madam President, may I speak, please?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you said we should not have to have police officers at our board meetings, and I totally agree with you. However, you have not been getting the death threats that some of us has been getting. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and because of that, and because of the way that people behaved last time by charging the stage and using extreme... I'm sorry. I can't speak? Okay, I'm done. No, they did.
Madam President.
Hold on.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Madam President.
Hold on. Let me see if there's somebody who hasn't come up for the first time yet, because it's actually on the second time. So hang on a second. Is there anyone first time? First.
None under members.
Lori Ellingson, 133335. Originally, I was hoping to step around to the other side of the podium, turn the microphone so I could address my newest BFF, Lynn Leibel. Unfortunately, I don't see her anymore. So I will address the board, but most of these comments are addressing the comments that she made. First of all, she wondered why I was videotaping. The reason for that is because a lot of comments, a lot of issues that are brought up in past board meetings are not reflected in the minutes. I do realize it is not the purpose of the secretary to record every single comment, but a lot of comments that are made are never documented. They're never listed in the minutes. I do realize that this is videotaped. It is put on YouTube, but only for 120 days. After that, no one has documentation of anything that was said or anything that was brought up. A big issue in March, I came to a board meeting and I asked the board if they would consider finding a different location for the theater. I gave the issues, the problem with the theater being located at Mountain View. I gave solutions of other areas to look at, and I addressed both the pickleball club and the Sun City Players Club in a matter that I felt would be a win-win for everyone. Now, I have no documentation of that board meeting. Those were the reasons for me videotaping. And I'm running out of time, but I had no intention to run for the board. I went to a meeting 2 years ago to see what would be involved with being on the board. After attending that meeting, I decided not to run. The reason why I'm running this year is based on principle. And I'll explain more in my next round.
First time?
Donna Hollick, 119535. I don't believe that the minutes that were approved this morning for the September 13th minutes are accurate. Director Lair, I emailed you on September 23rd with my questions regarding the minutes and did not get a response. So the minutes actually start the meeting at 9 a.m. The meeting was adjourned at 9:07. What you say was, despite repeated requests for cooperation regarding the signs, there was no discussion between 9 a.m. and 9:07 regarding the signs during the actual meeting. Number two, you say protest signs. I did stand when you installed Director Westmeyer with my back to the board. I was only 3 rows back, so I was able to watch the entire audience. One sign went up.
No.
Hang on, it's my time. RCSC has only put up the video showing the board for those entire 7 minutes. What I said in my email to Secretary Lair is review the video and see if I'm wrong or right. So if you want to check with the RC video and see if you see more than one sign, but again, I was facing the same direction as you were and saw one sign go up during those 7 minutes. So I would like to see the minutes corrected for the future, for history, if I am correct, or you can tell me I'm wrong. But again, there was no mention of signs during the actual meeting once the meeting was gavelled in. Director Lair, did you get the email?
Yes, I did get the email.
Okay.
And, looking at the video, I can tell you I was looking this way. There was a lady sitting, an older woman. I'm sorry. Older than me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be. I'm sorry. I feel like no matter what I say, it's not going to be right. So.
No, I just want to see if you received the email.
I did see a woman sitting there with white hair, and she had red and blue and whatever on. And she stood up and she was holding, I did not look over to this whole side of the audience. I saw this woman.
But again, my email stated you could check if RCSC has only posted the video going forward. I know this gentleman took videos going the same direction he is today.
I took your question as being that there were no signs, and I'm telling you that I witnessed signs, so it's
correct.
like I'm.
Sign. So again, your minutes are not correct as to my memory, and watching the video, I can tell you, despite repeated requests for cooperation, that never happened during the actual meeting itself. So I just want the minutes corrected for the future generations.
Time.
Thank you.
I respectfully disagree.
First time?
I saw signs. I'm sorry.
I can't tell if she's coming up or leaving. Okay, second time.
Jean Totten, number 148753, and I'm going to talk fast. I was supposed to be, let me start over. The 2 policemen that were here for that meeting that was abruptly stopped by you, President Wilson, not done correctly. It should have been a motion, and then it should have been seconded. You just abruptly stopped the meeting. If I'm not, I think that's what Robert's Rules of Order say. Anyway, the policemen came to me because they noticed that I was kind of in charge of the signs, which is really not true, but that's okay. And I told him, what can we do then that we can keep our signs? He went to Mr. Cook, who had stated to us as we were trying to enter that he didn't know what rule we were not following, that he would make one up. That's what he said. I asked him what we could do. He went up to the stage, and I saw him talking to you. He went back to the policeman. The policeman came back to me, and they said, they agree you can keep the signs as long as you're orderly and you don't put them up during the meeting, he said. We had arranged ahead of time that the only time the signs were going to go up, so I thought, was when the latest director, Wes Meyer, was taking his oath. And we were going to turn and face the camera and show our signs. So as you were giving the oath, I was on the sidelines telling everybody to sit down and put your signs down. Unfortunately, there was one lady in the middle who left her sign up during that time. When you finished the oath, we all stood, as I was told by the policeman that we could. And that's when you decided. You had talked to Bill, Bill had talked to the policeman. That's my side of the story. One other thing, I don't know if you all realize it, but you really need to watch yourselves on the videotape. Your facial expressions say much more than your words do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Pearson, 133438. Let me state the obvious. You're all up there because you love Sun City. We're all out here because we love Sun City. Okay? Let's start with that premise. But then let's also understand the premise of why Sun City was successful. It wasn't because of the corporation. The corporation came long after the community. The community was here first. Individual rec centers had their own association or organization. It wasn't until 1968 when the three centers merged, and in 1972 the RCSC came. Corporation didn't come first. I picked up a packet. I'm not running, because I wouldn't stand here and put my hand up and say, I swear allegiance to a corporation and the community be damned. I just won't do that. Sorry. We elect you, and that's the point of this. We elected Karen. We elected Barbara Brehm. You fired her. What's wrong with that picture? We elected them. And just so we're clear, Bill, honestly, I don't envy you. I want you to be a giant success over the next however many years you're here. But the annual membership wasn't so you could give us financials. Sorry, we used to have quarterly membership meetings, and when 100 people showed up, they could stand out here and make a motion to the floor. We changed it when I was on the board with Jan to a yearly membership meeting, but that meeting was so that people in the audience could put their hand up and say, excuse me, but we don't like what you're doing. And they did it for 50 years. For 50 years, the community had a voice, and now that voice is gone. How does that make any sense if the community is why we're all here? If we truly love Sun City, how does it make any sense to take away the voice of the community and you all be the end-all be-all? Because that isn't how we were built. It's not why we were successful. That's my only concern. I care historically how we got here. We are the most unique community of its kind in the country. There's not another one like it. And you and I disagreed over some things, but I don't want to see that uniqueness go away. I want to see this Sun City stay the most different from everybody else, because there's 1,000 plus more of them out there. Nobody's like us. Nobody. But it doesn't happen when you fire the people we elect in the space of 30 minutes. You got to recognize you don't have the right to fire the people we elect unless there's a gross violation. And I know Karen well enough to know there wasn't. Thank you.
Carol Aaron again, 22036. I was just wondering if you as a board have the right to amend the bylaws. Why don't you propose a resolution to Article 9, which states what a director can be dismissed for, and then it goes no further as to the rights of the person being dismissed? Why not amend it to say that a director may not be dismissed for speaking up for the membership about a club that they are a part of, except in the case where they would receive monetary reward for doing so? Right now, directors feel if they are elected, they can drop out of their clubs and they can vote on anything concerning that club, and when their term's over, they go right back to enjoying all that they have accomplished. And I'm sure this has happened through the years. Also, I would add that the director in question needs to be present at the meeting, time and place to be agreed by all of the members. The accused, if they choose to, may have a public hearing. At this hearing, the public may speak. Either way, the accused should have time to defend themselves. I believe that we as members have a right to hear the reason for the dismissal. I also think if the director feels that they are guilty of the charges, they would request an executive closed meeting, which you did have, and that would be their prerogative. And then we would not be able to know it because it's confidential. But if the person chooses to have an open meeting, that should be held. All of this would eliminate the public uproar and make you think twice about dismissing a voted member of the board, which has happened twice in the last 2 or 3 years by you up there, I believe. After all, if you let the directors voice their opinions, you've got how many up here? You choose to vote the way you choose. They speak their mind like each of you do, and your motion passes. So I don't understand why you always want to get rid of members that maybe might not agree with you, which I mentioned to Sue, and Sue said that wasn't the reason, but I don't know for sure what the reason is. Anyways, I'd just like to leave this with the board, and so maybe they might consider, or I'll send everybody the email, adding something, amending something to.
Oh, Secretary Lear.
You're better. Thank you for coming forward, and you know what? Those were very constructive. There were criticisms, but you at least came up with some ideas for improvement, which I appreciate. Thank you very much.
Robert Court, 141991. This is to Vice President Mike Agee. Have we ever met before than that one brief encounter?
No.
So I don't even know you personally.
Correct, not that I recall.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I guess since you ran your own investigation, you asked the witness, well, you said you investigated.
Yes,
Right.
I did.
No, you didn't, because the witness told me that he called him.
I talked to the witness.
Not when you sent me the email.
Oh, yes, I did. By email, I had conversed with the witness.
And he corroborated.
Yes.
That's not what he's doing now. He's not. He said he does not recall. And he doesn't verify one way or the other. So that makes it a he said situation. And my point is, I don't know this guy. First time I ever met him, why would I level an accusation like that against him? And what would he have to tell just the opposite story, that I didn't say that? I filed an incident report. I don't even know where that's at. I heard that it came to the board from Bill Cook. It went to you guys, and you guys are supposed to look this thing over.
And we have.
And you have. And you came up with the same conclusions. So you're saying, I never pointed out the witness. I just said a witness. You pointed him out. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to drag him into it. Apparently you did. So I'm saying that when I talked to him 2 days after this incident, he said he doesn't recall that. Not that last part of the statement. He said the same thing you said in the paper. If you guys only knew what I knew, that was your mantra in the paper. If you guys only knew what I knew, and it's the same thing he said. If you only knew what I knew, and then he went on to say, if you knew what I knew, you'd walk up and smack and punch her in the mouth. Now that's not an exact quote, but it was something like that. And then when I asked the witness, being as you pointed him out, and I wasn't trying to, he said, I don't recall that. I won't say one way or the other. So if there's no witness, and I don't have a motivation to do it, and I filled out an incident report, and maybe he's got another one, maybe he's got something against, I've emailed everybody on the board, and nobody responded to me. Nobody. Nobody took time out but you. That's it. Nobody else. So just for a minute, take off your hats, your political hats and all that stuff, and just put on your thinking cap. What motivation would I have when I don't even know the guy? And what motivation would he have for trying to cover something up or clean up his name or whatever? I don't know. My time's up in 4 seconds. But I'm asking everybody else, put on your thinking caps and figure out who is telling the story.
Joe Broush, 15597. Sorry, I only needed a few more seconds. The answers to my question of whether or not Karen McAdam or we as a community have been respected were answered with it's a double-edged sword, I believe, and we're a private corporation, so it doesn't matter. I wish it wasn't that way. I've been accused of being disrespectful. Actions I've taken out of frustration and trying to find a solution. I apologize if you people have thought that what I was doing was disrespectful. I've written emails to you. I've gotten almost no responses. Very quickly, just to comment on Secretary Lear's concern about Zoom excluding people. Actually, you can do a combination meeting, which would include everybody. And one last question. Were members of the press allowed access to this meeting today?
Right there.
Okay, I do. Thank you, Russ. Wasn't sure. Thank you for your time.
Lori Ellingson, 133335. Again, my last statement, the reason why I am getting involved is based on principle. Principle of respect for everyone, the board members, our community members, everybody involved. I have not seen that. The other principle of common sense. Do we need detailed data to make a decision, or can you base decisions on good common sense? I read The Best of Sun City, which was written in 2013, 2014. In there, it talks about pickleball is fast becoming a growing sport. That was 7 years ago. So everyone knew 7 years ago the importance of pickleball to drawing the baby boomers, the next gen people to our community. The only thing Karen McAdam did wrong was care too much and do too much due diligence. She was the only person that bothered to research and find out what other communities were doing, how many residents they had, how many rooftops, how many pickleball courts, what was the percentage. Dale Lair, in a June meeting, stated, I don't know if my facts are correct. I don't know if this is right. Karen McAdam took the time to find the facts, to research. Again, the reason why I decided to run, there are 6 goals. Number 1, guiding the board to make smarter decisions by using common sense and unbiased data. Number 2, gaining the respect of members in the community by leading with honesty and integrity. Number 3, listening to the needs of the members and being the voice of the people for the people. Number 4, bringing back Del Webb's vision of self-governance, which in turn will bring the community closer together, helping members realize that they matter and urge them to simply start caring again.
Time.
Thank you.
I have 2 more, which I will bring up
Madam President,
after everyone else has spoken.
could I comment?
Yes.
Lori, as far as the capacity, I think we're dead on with that, okay? I did not do that. A pickleball person did that, and it was verified, and it's good. My question was, and I talked to Karen McAdam about this directly, several times on the telephone, about the utilization data. Are we capturing all the data? And she told me, because of this back and forth, and sometimes the sign-in sheet is in the center, and if people play on the outside, they may not come. Thus, motion number 1 today, and why we voted on that. I moved ahead with that right away. I want to make sure that it's correct.
Right.
And I do have questions that maybe we aren't capturing all the data. That's not a bad thing. It's not biased, and I'm, in my sincerest way, trying to make the best decisions. But I have to start collecting some information, and I think that's a step forward. There are other concerns I have as well, but, you know, that's what I meant when I said that, and I stand by that, and I am confident that over time we're going to get a better feel for, are we capturing all the people who come to play pickleball? I don't know that, and you don't know that either.
So you went to her because she is involved in pickleball, which was good.
Okay.
But why would you say then it's a conflict of interest?
Okay, I'm going to stop because we do have other people that are waiting that you can come back.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know how to do.
Mike Wendell, 145206. I want to speak out in support of collecting the information. I spent 40 years in information technology. I grew up with mainframes. I've been doing this for so long, I know way too much, and sometimes that gets in my way. But bottom line is we have limited physical resources. We have people demanding use for those resources. We want to be as efficient as possible. You can't make good decisions without good data. Mm-hmm. And right now we're at that point. We're trying to collect good data. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you get garbage in, and guess what? You're going to get garbage out. The next step is, how do we use that good data? Mm-hmm. And then the step beyond that is, how do you analyze it and make good decisions? But right now, the starting point is collect it. And people who feel it's inconvenient that I have to swipe a card or I have to do things, we have technology today to make this easy. It's a lot of information, but it's the most important step. You need good data, period.
Yes.
And if you don't collect it, you're never going to make a good decision, because someone's always going to go up and say, well, we were doing this and you didn't know it, or whatever happens. So right now, that's the stage we're at. I applaud the fact that it's finally getting off the ground. And it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Ellingson, member 13335. Number 5, goals for running for the board. Helping the members of the community understand the decision-making process by informing them and getting them involved and engaged. Guiding the members to lead and shape their community. Number 6, moving forward with the changing times and being a forward thinker. None of those goals were specific to any club. all of those goals were to try to get the 90% of our members that don't know and don't care involved. Our biggest problem in Sun City is apathy. Our biggest problem is most people are like, it doesn't affect me, so what do I care? I am hoping that we can get better communication and get those 90% interested in what's happening in their community. And first of all, interested in how the entire corporation is run. Most people don't understand it. I didn't when I first moved here. So I have done a lot of reading. I have gotten every magazine that I possibly can. I went to the museum. I bought the book Jubilee, which talks about the history of Sun City, so I would have a better understanding. I do not want to be on the board. I thank all of you for your time, and I thank you for your dedication to making this community as wonderful as it is. I don't want to spend my Monday and Thursdays for 2 hours or more trying to make decisions for the 90% of the people that don't know, don't care. When I was collecting signatures, all I heard was, good luck, good luck. I said, I don't need luck. I said, I don't want luck. I want you to say, oh, how can I get involved? How can I help you to help us, the community?
Thank you. Other comments?
So I'm Karen McAdam. My number is 122045. Until late in August, I had no idea who Mr. Robert Court was whatsoever, but he actually figured out how to find me and how to contact me because he was concerned about my safety after the incident that he described earlier with Mr. Agee on August 16th, I believe it was, at the Camera Club. And I feel that there has been, that his concerns have not been done justice by you. I think that what he's coming to you and saying is a very legitimate case, and I would just ask all of you on the board, are you aware of any other incidences involving Director Agee that would indicate that this could be a pattern of behavior?
No. No.
Maybe you need to remind him.
Cannot answer that question as it's a right of privacy.
Ms. Eck, are you aware of any incidences that could confirm that this would be a pattern of behavior for Director Agee? So, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm sorry,
community,
Karen, you need
yes.
to address the board because this is a board meeting.
Okay, dear board members and dear members of this community,
Back at the podium, please. Back at the podium, please. If you're addressing the board, you are facing us and talking to us, and we'll answer.
So I think you, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think you are all aware of the fact that I actually wrote a little piece in the Independent this week that I wished I hadn't had to write. But in that, I said that a lot of misbehavior is being covered by a mantle of secrecy. And ladies and gentlemen of the board, you are guilty. You are guilty of knowing that this is a pattern of behavior that gives much credence to what Mr. Court said, and I think that you ought to come clean about it. And Mr. Agee, I think that you ought to step down and resign from the board.
Okay.
Jean Totten, 148753. I was wondering if you could please explain to all of us how our proxy system will work for, number one, if a petition is put in for the removal of a board director or president, and number two, for the elections. What needs to happen for proxies? Or if we were to do Zoom, or I'm not aware of how we could collect proxies here. Are they allowed for the election?
No. Not for the election, no.
Not for the election.
No.
But they are allowed for the removal of a board member.
It would be Jan or Bill.
Madam President, Board of Directors, Ms. Totten, they are allowed, the petition that goes out for a recall, once the petition is fulfilled, it calls a meeting of the membership. And then the vote is taken at the membership meeting, provided there's a quorum. I have not, in my tenure here, have not done a recall, so that's just off the top of my head of memory. It's not experience here, but that's how I remember that it goes here. Proxies at the membership meeting are another process, and you can come with proxies. It's part of the state law. It's not part of within our documents, but it's part of the state law. And the proxies can be, the corporation can provide the form for the proxy, which could be a general proxy or a specific proxy. And generally, if there is, in my experience in this, if there is something that the membership is voting on coming up at the membership meeting, the proxies are specific so that if someone's giving you their proxy, they know exactly what they're giving you the proxy for. A general proxy allows you to vote for anything on their behalf. Is that clear that up?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, any other comments?
Robert Court, 141991. I received an email from you the very next day, be Sue, saying that you did the investigation. When I asked the witness, he said he only received one phone call, and it was from Mike Agee. So I don't know how you did your investigation, if it did after this email, but you said the very next day you investigated.
Yes.
And the witness saying he only got one phone call, and it was from Mike Agee. No email from you. Didn't mention anything about that. And he did not corroborate anything. He said he doesn't recall. I didn't really, and I really want to apologize to the witness who is here right now, because I said in my cover letter, in my report that I filled out, that it places him in a bad position for which I have the greatest sympathy. I did not bring him in to your emails. When I sent that email out, I never mentioned a witness on purpose. I just asked a simple question: is this the proper way for a board member to say something to somebody that he just met, to make some kind of threatening comment about somebody else, and I just ask a simple question, and if it had been done correctly the first time, I wouldn't be here right now. Then he was given my phone number to contact me because I was told that he wanted to kind of smooth this over. Yeah, I know you're giving me that funny look, but he remembers the email because I got the email. So he had my phone number. He could have called me, and I tried doing it that way. And then I filled out an incident report. I don't know where that is, but there's supposed to be some kind of a deal on an incident report. And what you're saying is because under this cloak of confidentiality, that no other incident report's been filed on Mr. Egge concerning Karen McAdam, which I find really hard to believe. So I don't know that that's true or not, but I would say that if someone's to be believed in this story, it would be me, because I don't even know the guy. In fact, I said in my email to you, seems like a nice guy to me. I don't know why he'd even make a comment like that. It was my first time meeting him, and I would not throw out a comment like that. And if you guys would just put on your thinking caps for a minute, you'd ask yourself, like, why would he say something like that? And why would he deny something like that? And that just takes common sense. It don't take anything else but just some common sense and some thinking this thing through, especially if there's a history between the two of them. I'm not saying there is, there isn't, but from the way I'm understanding it, there's a history there. And if there is, somebody's not telling the truth. And you said he corroborated, and he didn't. So right there's a lie right there in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because he didn't, and I'm telling you, that's what he said.
Frank Spina, 141822. Just a quick point of information I hope the board's aware of. There's a giant sports complex being built, I believe, in Mesa. Included in that sports complex, 31 pickleball courts. So when you're deciding, and won't tell us right now why we can't include that in the green area that's still available, I hope you consider that. There's a reason they're putting in 31 pickleball courts. The popularity of the sport.
Okay, thank you.
Donna Hollick, member 119535. Just to clarify, Director Lair, earlier in today's meeting, you mentioned pickleball is 2 hours of play. I don't know if that was you're trying to go by memory, but technically it's 3 hours. So for your data collection to be accurate, we want to make sure we give you accurate information back. But typically, we're there 3 hours. Again, we're waiting between games. So, maybe our playing time is 2 hours, but typically we are there at the courts for a minimum of 3 hours.
I think you have 3 hours.
Go ahead.
You know what? I've just been bombarded today. I will go back and take a look at it. The pickleball capacity was done by Rich Peterson, who was very involved with pickleball.
Correct.
And I went exactly with what he came up with.
Okay, typically, again, because we're waiting between matches.
He said there's some people who come to play pickleball and they're there for 5 hours.
Correct. Correct.
And there's some people who come and they play 1 or 2 games and they leave, but the majority, so I will go back and look.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because we do, the club does provide round robins and ladder leagues and things like that.
Right.
That usually take a minimum of 2 or 3 hours. So I just want to make sure if you're collecting data, we're getting as close as we can to be correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Totten, number 148753. Some quick questions, please, since this is my only forum. Jan, on the May 10th meeting, you stated after the conclusion of the Mountain View presentation that we've had considerable complaints from homeowners in the area regarding pickleball noise. We are wanting to see where we are with that. How many complaints is a considerable amount? Do you have a list of the folks who complained? Did anyone ever talk to these people to evaluate the complaint? And might this be the reason for the disappearance of pickleball courts from the final plan?
There's no disappearance of pickleball courts. Stop. Stop.
Excuse me, there's a green area, there's no pickleball
That hasn't been
courts.
developed yet, but we're working on it.
It's going to be.
Okay, could I have the other questions answered? Do you remember stating that?
Oh, God.
Madam President, Board of Directors, Ms. Dodden, I do not recall that exact statement, but I do recall talking about that I have definitely had lots of complaints from people. I don't remember so much at Mountain View, although I've had that some, and that's a huge consideration for us there, is the noise, because everybody knows if you play pickleball, I mean, that's long known. That's, you know, with the pickleball, it's a noisy thing. But at Marionette is what I thought I was talking about, and I've sat on their patios and listened to the pickleball. And we've done a lot of things that have really improved that. But as far as Mountain View, we've been very cognizant of that. And there are a few complaints that come from. I don't know. I talked to probably in a week time, hundreds of people. I don't know how many it was, but there's the people that are closer or people at the area, it's just a noisy, you guys can't deny it's a noisy sport. It just is a noisy sport. That's just the bottom line, so we've got to figure out a way to solve that.
32 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you. President Wilson, was the ADA mini golf course on the list of desirables that you received from the Long Range Planning Committee after all the research? And if yes, what number did it rank at?
It was not, and technically that should not have been on the plan. I wish it had not been, because to me, yeah, it's not something that we've heard that people want a lot of. And so at this point, no, it's not something that we're necessarily considering for the Phase 3.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would just like to make a comment, and I've said this many times before. People are not listening, but no one on this board has ever suggested removing pickleball courts, ever. During construction, there will be some courts that will not be accessible. Right. Never has there been a suggestion to eliminate the number of pickleball. That's just not true. And I'm saying it now. You can go back and look at the minutes from before. I have never said that. In fact, I have said these very same words. And yet this perception that somehow we're going to eliminate pickleball is false.
Madam President?
Yes.
We also have met with the pickleball board, the club board, and we're trying to come to a reasonable agreement where we can set up some temporary courts while the ones at Mountain View are shut down. Mm-hmm. So we're in the process of trying to accommodate pickleball by setting up some temporary courts somewhere while the pickleball courts are shut down at Mountain View. We're not, I don't know if you're listening, not eliminating them. Never have we ever said that.
Never. I understand that. You may not. No, I'm starting over. They had their chance. Now I get another 3 minutes. This is such an asinine rule. I am so sorry, but I've never, just because you wanted to keep some people shut up.
No, that's not why we have it.
I realize that, but I don't even play pickleball. I don't know anything about it. But it's the inference that you're making. You sit up there and you say none of you, well, you're talking for all of them, so I hope you're correct.
She is
correct. None of you have ever. But how many years is it going to be until those, how long is it going to be before the plan goes in and you start with Phase 1?
We're waiting for the budget amounts to come in so we can see where we're at and when we will start on that.
Okay, so how long does it take to get the budget amounts? Oh, here we go. I lost my time again.
You keep asking questions.
Madam President.
Yes. But I think that is my right as a
Oh, yes, it is. Yes,
Okay,
it is.
okay,
I'm not saying
guys.
it's not your right.
Stop.
You can ask questions.
Stop.
Madam President, Board of Directors, Ms. Totten, we actually are expecting numbers today or this week, so we should get rough order of magnitude pricing soon, and that's really the largest piece of the PIF budget, and so once we get those numbers, then we can go ahead and determine where the PIF is going to be spent, or when.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, if you keep asking questions and you want to answer, but yet you're upset because it's taking up your time, the microphone is open.
I'm coming, but I need 3 minutes.
Still got a minute and 6.
Oh, I'm still up there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, excuse me. Switching topics, I attended the election committee the other day, and it was brought up that there are going to be 2 candidate forums, both of them at Sundial this year. And the biggest reason that one can't be in the north and one can't be in the south is because of our technology. So why on the PIF plan have we worried about every golf maintenance facility? They're all listed, all 5 of them have to be upgraded, but I see nothing about technology.
Technology may not go under PIF because it doesn't meet the parameters to be on PIF. So
it's not more than $750,000?
$300,000, and we're talking, it has not got a lifespan of 15 years.
Technology doesn't?
No.
The cords that run through the buildings and...
You're talking technology that changes the minute you buy a computer, it's already outdated.
No, I'm talking about the fact that you can't hold meetings in any of your other recreation centers because they're lacking in the technology. Why is that? Why have you not concentrated on that before? You talk about looking ahead, except for Mr. Westmeyer, who says, no, we don't want to look ahead. We only want to look at the people who are here now. Well, I beg your pardon, sir, but the younger people who are 55 and a little bit older than that, who are retiring now, are looking for communities like ours who will cater to them, who will let their buildings be open at nighttime. I go by a building now at 7 o'clock at night, and I came over here for a meeting, and there were 10 people in the pool. I think you're losing in Grand Avenue, you had to have Grand Avenue be built. Why is one of the buildings empty?
It isn't.
There isn't one building that's empty.
No.
Does anyone else on the board have anything to say about that?
Well,
What do you want to say? It's not empty.
I'm asking if anyone else knows anything different about
Madam
that.
President,
Yes.
maybe I can help you out.
Okay.
In the first building that used to be a restaurant, there are currently, I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 clubs in there? Is that right? 4 or 5? There are 4 or 5 clubs in there. All of the club space is taken up in that first room. There is also a meeting room, and there is a posse office there. In the second building that was just finished, there are 2 clubs in there currently, Vintage Vehicles, and the Outdoor Sportsman has an indoor archery range there. And as far as I know, there is also room for 1 more club to go in there that has not yet been assigned.
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Is this the building with the dirt floor?
That is, the reason it has a dirt floor is because if you need to tunnel underneath it and run pipes or drains or something like
Depending on the
that,
club.
you're not digging up cement. You're not putting cement down first, then having to dig it up again. So whoever goes in there, they've left it dirt floor it's 1 room, they've left it dirt floor so they can figure out whoever's going in there if they need special electrical, special plumbing, something else underneath the floor. They're not digging up cement, wasting money. Okay? Does that answer your question?
I guess so, but I just wondered if there were any other board members that
Director Collins?
It's approximately 3,000 square feet,
That's empty.
yes.
That's the room.
There's no floor in it.
That is empty.
It's empty.
Yes.
And yet we're so desperate for space.
No, actually, we have a club director, or general manager.
Thank you, Madam President, Ms. Totten. Yes, I spoke with Chris Herring, our Director of Operations, actually just before he left for vacation, and we're probably 90% sure of who's going in there, but I don't want to speak to that until it's official.
Right. Yes.
Donna Hollick, 119535. Sorry, Director Laird. You stated we're not getting rid of pickleball. If I'm not mistaken, I was here at the board meetings when former Director Karen McAdams asked you specifically say and put it in the minutes, we will put pickleball back at Mountain View, and the board would not vote on that. Karen might be able to speak if I'm incorrect in saying that, but that's, I think, what we've been missing this whole time. If you're quick.
I'll try to be as fast as I can. I did talk with Rich Peterson on the Long Range Planning Committee. My thought was pickleball is kind of it's one of our bright stars. I would like to see it be a center of excellence. That is a concept that we do not currently have on this board, which I would like to promote through long-range planning. My conversations were, could we do something more at Marinette? You got to have pickleball courts on the south side of Grand Avenue for some reason. That's fine.
Two different things. Having more courts at Marinette.
I'm not talking about losing a net number of. That's where we're missing out on something.
But again, former Director McAdams asked for a vote from the board at the time to guarantee that pickleball will come back to Mountain View. And since the board did not take that vote and did not give us that confidence for you to say we're going to have it.
I'm sorry for that, but
it's very hard for us in the audience to say, oh, we believe. And like you said, a lot of this board will be gone.
That's true.
So we're asking for that vote of confidence and for a blueprint that shows it in there at some point. Without that, you keep telling us this is what's going to happen.
Okay,
And
I'd like to address it because right now, okay, hang on a second. Just, we met with Pickleball Club, found out what would satisfy them until we have Mountain View completely done. We are in the process right now of developing a phase 3, developing that out. We want to meet again with our pickleball exec board, and we want to meet again with our lawn bowling boards and discuss and show them what we have. So we're working on that, and then once we have met with them, we're coming back here.
Okay, but again, the confidence is not in the membership because that vote was never taken to say pickleball will come back to Mountain View.
As I said, we're meeting on it to come back to you to do that, but you have to give us a minute.
No, that vote was asked for several months ago, so that's where the confidence would have been better for you had that vote been taken at the time.
And again, you need to deal with data, and that's why we're getting data as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're asking, what I perceive that question to be, and I can go back and look at the video, was a guarantee. And it's like, I can't guarantee anything. First of all, I would much rather promote a center of excellence than putting some pickleball courts here and some pickleball courts here and then have our centers, our big thing up. That's my personal opinion. That's just one person on the board who's trying to promote as a center of excellence. That's why. And I think to lock yourself into Mountain View is short-sighted because there might be better places and opportunities in the near future. So am I going to vote and say, yeah, oh, definitely we're going to put it at Mountain View? I don't know. Why don't you let things play out?
But when
nothing's going to happen.
But when you keep saying that we're going to not take it away, that's where the challenge is.
Madam President.
It's a conflict of interest how you say it back and forth
I'm
to
sorry.
us.
Yes.
Ma'am, we could sit down and we could put something in writing and guarantee you something and you never get it, because we'll be gone and it can change. So why lie to you? Why try to make you, just to make you happy?
No,
We are planning on developing Phase 3 with pickleball. And you have to just believe that. We don't have it all down, how it's going to be laid out, how much it's going to cost. We're going to do that. And rather than lie to you and make up things, we're being totally honest.
Correct, but when Director Lair says we are not taking it away verbally, when we had the opportunity for you to vote that, it makes it hard for us to believe.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. Are we having an annual meeting this year?
It's something that we're obviously going to look at and will come up in the next board meeting.
In the next board meeting?
Well, it will need to. We'll have to address it. We've got 2 months left, or 3 months left, I guess.
That's right. And like I said, it should be a big blowout, a big celebration. We're back to normal. We have reason to celebrate. Maybe we'll even have a quorum. Does this building hold a quorum?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go door to door.
Okay, see no others? Lori? Again.
I know. Lori Ellingson, 133335. I would like to address the matter of arguing in bad faith. When in disagreement, a common person tries to understand the other party, listen to them, be honest, and make sure they understand where others are coming from. From what I witnessed when watching the June 24th board meeting, decisions were not made in good faith. The members were not listened to, and the board did not display an intent to make sure that they understood where the needs of the members were coming from. Karen McAdam was the only director on the board that, in my opinion, acted in good faith, listened to the needs of the membership, and tried to understand all issues that were a concern of the membership. The unwritten guideline of being a leader or director on a board is not to get upset or get too anxious. That is not what I saw from the last board meeting. A narcissistic person wants to win, dominate, and get what they want, oftentimes at the expense of other people's well-being. Narcissists argue in what is sometimes referred to as bad faith. It means that they don't even care about or try to understand the other person. Or even worse, they are dedicated to deliberately misunderstanding and mischaracterizing others, often to the point of absurdity. I challenged the 39 residents of Sun City to log onto YouTube and watch the board meeting from June 24th and tell me if it doesn't elicit a reaction of ludicrous, absurd, ridiculous, inappropriate, and outrageous. When the board acts in bad faith, it's time to get them to get off their high horse, apologize for their behavior, step down, and allow this community to return to the vision that Del Webb first inspired into us of being a community run by self-governance and not a corporation run by a dictatorship.
Okay, I am moving to board comments. Board comments, yes. Secretary Lair.
Let me flip back to my page here. I'm, again, making a plea to the members of Sun City. We are in desperate need of property inspectors. If you want to get involved, if you want to have input other than just at a meeting, we could really use, we're about 10 people short on our properties committee. and it requires an inspection. You would get to pick or be assigned to certain facilities, and to go through 3 times a year and to write up an inspection on what you see, and then that is discussed with members of management and the committee itself. So if you have any interest at all, please call the corporate office and let the gals know that you're interested. I have a training date for new inspectors is coming up on October 19th. So if you have any interest at all in getting involved, please contact us prior to October 18th. Thank you.
Yes, Director Collins?
Members of the community, I just want you to know I'm not perfect up here. I'm going to make mistakes, and you better be ready for me to make them, because it's going to happen. And we ask that you just try to be a little more compassionate and understand when we do make mistakes. Thank you.
Director Akins?
You know, pretty much throughout this whole, I'm dead. Oh, literally. Sorry. Okay, is this, okay, here we go. Throughout this whole meeting, everybody kept talking about respect. And I don't think you guys realize that we're human also, that we have emotions. And we get fired up, we get emotionally fired up, just like you do. And you keep saying that you want to be heard, and we're listening to you. As a matter of fact, we sat here for 3 hours today. Oh, I've been here for 4 hours. And we did want to listen to you. We wanted to listen to you last time, but we were unable to do that. The minute we say something you don't want to hear, then we get the shouting out and we get the loudness. Because last time when I was saying that after the meeting, the people rushed the stage, you immediately just started yelling at me and saying, oh, no, that's not right, that's not right. Well, we have it on tape. We have it taped for the people rushing the stage. So yes, they did rush the stage after the meeting last time. And they were not very nice. They were using a lot of profanity. They were pointing fingers, and they were acting like we were the scum of the earth. I'm sorry. I was a teacher, taught for 40-plus years. I have my master's degree, and I do have a little bit of intelligence going on, and I do like to respect people, and I do like to listen. However, I also would like to be heard sometimes. And whether you want to hear what I have to say or not, I apologize, because a lot of things you say we don't want to hear, but we do still listen. We listened today, as you see, that we did not vote on the Roberts rules. I mean, everybody's going to disagree about that, but it's like, okay, then maybe this is not the time to do that. Maybe that's not the right choice. We were not trying to do something to hide stuff from you. We're not trying to be dictators. We were trying to make it a point where we would stop getting criticized for every little thing we did. I got criticized one time because I wanted to abstain on a vote, and I was told, oh, you can't do that. Well, I went and looked at Robert's rules, and yes, I could do that. I was okay doing that. But yet I got bombarded with emails, oh, you can't abstain. Well, yeah, I can, because I looked it up. But the minute we say something you don't want to hear, then you start with the loudness and the rudeness. And I apologize if I get a little emotionally tied up sometimes, because I am human. So I guess I have to apologize for being human. But once again, please respect us just like we want to respect you. Thank you.
Okay, any other board comments? Yes, Bill, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll be quick. So first, I'd like to address, my role in, making sure that we protect, our employees. And so I know there's a lot of comments about the police officers here. And so that first meeting that we had in September, many of our folks were shell-shocked, including myself. In 30 years, I've never experienced anything like that. And the hatred that I experienced, I've never felt that. So, having these guys here is really just to make sure that we are safe, okay? Secondly, I've worked with this board for 3 years, with some of you for all 3 years since I started. And when I was, when this job, the general manager job came up, I certainly wouldn't have taken this job if I felt that this board was in any way trying to hide anything or do anything under the table or to do anything other than the best for Sun City and the rec centers. I mean, I see Sue at every single committee meeting. I mean, and not only that, then she's always in the boardroom next to my office, always doing something. So I really enjoy working with this board. I think there's a lot of things that you don't see in terms of what they do. And so I guess that's all I wanted to say, but thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Any other comments from the board? Other than I'd like to thank the board for sitting for as long as you have, as well as the audience. Our next board meeting is October 11th, 2021, here in the Sundial Auditorium at 9 a.m. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
So moved by Secretary Lair, seconded by Director Collins. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.